Council Clerk Denise, please call the roll.
Councilor Del Vento.
Present.
Councilor Powers.
Present.
Councilor Terry.
Here.
Councilor Sanford. Councilor Calla.
Present.
Councilor Mayo.
Here.
Councilor Boncory.
Here.
Vice President Barone.
Here.
Council President Gill.
Here.
Thank you.
And Councilor Sanford just arrived.
Yes.
The minutes of the previous session of December 3rd as circulated.
Motion accepted.
Motion by Vice President Barone, seconded by Councilor Powers. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. The executive session minutes needed some correction, so we're going to hold on this. At this time, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out on this horrible evening. I had two choices today, to hold the meeting or to not hold the meeting. And I thought, given the fact that so many people had been expecting to have a meeting tonight, and the other fact that our next meeting isn't scheduled for 3 weeks away, that my decision was to hold the meeting tonight. There was some miscommunication that maybe the meeting was going to be canceled, but the meeting was not canceled, obviously. And I commend all my councilors for being here 100%, and I commend those of you who came out in the cold for being here as well. Tonight we have the honor to recognize Councilor Powers for his 4 years of service to the town on the council. And I'd just like to read a citation to Councilor Powers. Be it known that the Winthrop Town Council expresses its appreciation to J. Larry Powers in recognition of his service as the Councilor at Large to the Winthrop Town Council, including service on the Council Finance, Public Health and Safety, and Public Works Committees. On behalf of the residents of the town of Winthrop, we extend our most sincere congratulations to Larry and offer our best wishes to Larry and his family in all your future endeavors. Given the 17th day of December 2013 at Winthrop, Massachusetts. Signed by the councilors. Larry. We can take it. And Mrs. Powers, I didn't see you arrive. We thank you for allowing us to have Larry's time and services over the last 4 years. And it's always a sacrifice for the wife as well as for the husband. Thank you. If we could all just stay standing and take a brief recess while Carrie takes a picture.
Let's go. Can you get on? Jim's not here.
Yeah, Larry. Come on. I also want to recognize Mr. Dick Tyrrell, who is not here tonight. Dick has moved to an assisted living facility, but Dick served for many years on the Board of Library Trustees. And this past year, he had to resign from his term due to health issues. So I would also like to present a citation to Dick, which I will take to him personally because he was unable to be here tonight, in recognition of his many years of dedicated services on the Board of Library Trustees. So again, Dick Tyrrell, if you're watching, and Mrs. Tyrrell, thank you very much. Mr. McKenna texted me about 6:30 that he was going 2 miles an hour through the snow, and I suggested that instead of heading to Winthrop, that he head home. because probably by the time we got here, first of all, the meeting would be over. But secondly, for his personal safety, he was out of town to another meeting, so that's why he's not here. So I'll take the blame for his absence. I wanted to take a moment tonight to recognize the Winthrop High School cheerleaders who are going off to a national competition, something that Winthrop has never achieved that, and they've worked very, very hard to achieve that, and I would like to recognize them and congratulate our Winthrop cheerleaders and thank them for their great representation of our town, and we can be very proud of them this evening.
Hey, Peter?
Yes, Councilor.
I was just mentioning to Larry, in honor of his years of service, I am making a donation of $200 to the cheerleaders for their trip to Florida, and I know there's a lot of you here, and I know you're not here to support the cheerleaders, but this is your big opportunity. I think they are planning on going in February or something, and I know they have a fund set up, so in honor of your years of service to both the town and to the council, a couple of cheerleaders will get to go to Disney World.
But I don't get to go.
Yeah, I did have to mention that Larry does not get to go, so that's not part of the donation, but good opportunity.
Well, that's nice, thank you.
I was remiss in mentioning that not only was Larry on the council for 4 years, but he also has 30-some years of service to the community as from the fire department and moved right up to chief and has been involved in several activities in town. Thank you again, Larry.
Thank you.
Public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment? I assume there is. Mr. Vitagliano, name and address.
Thank you, Councilor. Let me forget, my name is John Tagliano, nearly a lifelong resident of the town of Winthrop. I'm also a consultant, by the way, to Summer Downs for their casino proposals. I've worked with you on that. But I'm not here tonight to speak in that capacity, but really only on my capacity, if you will, as a resident of the town of Winthrop. And I'd just like to recommend to the town that the town proceed with a negotiated agreement with the Summer Downs as in the town's capacity and the surrounding community as designated by the Mass Gaming Commission. That's basically what I'd like to say.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Yes.
Mr. President, members of the council, good evening. My name is Richard Lins, Precinct 5. Although I'm not a lifelong resident, I think I've been here long enough to count. At least I have my voice count, served on town boards, I've done a lot in the town over the years. I too also would like to comment, I think, on the pending motion that's before the board this evening, before the council this evening. I think it's Councilor Mail's motion as well as an amended motion by the President. I was here at the last meeting. I did get an opportunity to listen, and to listen certainly the lively and spirited debate and discussion, mostly put forth by those who are opposed to the casino that's being proposed for Revere. I too would like to just at least express a different point of view, and it's no secret my loyalties lie with respect to this issue. But I think it's important, certainly as a homeowner, resident, and taxpayer, that while individual councilors may have their opinion or their thoughts and beliefs relative to this issue, I think taking a position on behalf of the town, a position that is opposed to any development there, I think is going down a slippery slope. And I say this for a number of reasons. First and foremost, as a surrounding community, which clearly Winthrop would, at best would be, we're certainly not going to be a host community. We have very limited ability in controlling what happens at the Suffolk Downs site. With that said, taking a position that opposes the proposal that's being put forth at this time by Mohegan Sun, I think we put ourselves, or at least handicap ourselves as a town when it comes to negotiating what that surrounding community might be. I've passed out an editorial with the example of Fitchburg, and I think that is a very telling tale. Fitchburg is located just over the border of Leominster. I mean, Leominster was in the process of negotiating a host community, and Fitchburg appears to have overplayed their hand. Well, lo and behold, the Mass Gaming Commission determined that Fitchburg wasn't even a surrounding community. And while they had the opportunity to negotiate, they ended up not getting really anything out of the deal. I think Cordish is offering them a $5,000 impact fee, which is far, far less than certainly what they could have negotiated. So with that said, although I do respect the differing opinions of the councilors, and I certainly respect individual positions that have been communicated to the Gaming Commission and certainly communicated publicly, I think as a body the council has, or it's incumbent upon the council, notwithstanding the arguments that are made by those who oppose, to represent the interests of the town in the most fiscally responsible manner possible. And I think that giving away or certainly discarding our ability or our right to negotiate for a host community, or at least making the symbolic gesture that we're opposed and not interested, I think is a huge mistake for the town, and certainly as a resident, taxpayer, and homeowner is something that I wouldn't want to see happen. And I know I speak for a lot of my neighbors and friends here in the town as well. Thank you for the time, Mr. President.
Thank you, Richard. Anyone else? Yes.
I simply want to be on record as saying that I don't
We just
think...
need your
My
name
name
and
is
precinct.
Lisa, precinct 4, and I've lived here more than half of my life, which is kind of long. So, a long time. I can't imagine that being able to negotiate as a neighboring community or what, we could ever get enough money to pay for the negative impact that a casino at Suffolk Downs would have on us.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know if public comment allows me.
Can we just,
Yeah, I don't want to rebut.
no, just let me get everybody who hasn't
Oh, I'm
spoken,
sorry.
then I'll come back. Everybody who hasn't spoken, so then we'll come back to you. Anyone else with public comment? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Carol.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for putting this item on the agenda because it's so important to many of us. And thank you for all those people who braved the
Carol, I
terrible
just need
weather
you to
come out.
identify name and precinct
I'm sorry,
again.
Carol Ficella, Precinct 4, 3 Seal Harbor Road. I come before you this evening as your neighbor, as your friend, as your relative. I am here because I love Winthrop. My daughter is the 5th generation to live in this town, to own property in this town, and to pay taxes in this town. That's a long time. We have choices to leave this community. We have chosen, like many of you who've been here for generations, to stay here, to build it, and to make it successful. It is our future for our children and our grandchildren. We have a legacy to preserve here. I care about you. I care about Ralph. I care about Anita. I care about Dana. I care about John. I care about you. I see you in the center having coffee. I see you in my church pews. I see you with our kids going to the same birthday parties. I see you in every aspect of this town because it's a pedestrian town and we love it and we know each other. We're here as a tight-knit community. Let's preserve this community and the quality of life that we enjoy here. Because once we lose it, we will never get it back. And the young people, I see Heather with her daughter and all of her friends and all of the school kids, they moved here because there was a better promise for a good life. Do we want to lose these people? They're educated, they're professional, they bring money to the town, and they pay taxes. They will move out. Many of us who can afford it will move out. We don't want to be here under those circumstances. And once we move, our property values will go down. And once our property values go down, the town will not be worth the pittance of a mitigation that they give us to save it. I assume you also, as council members, love this town. I have to operate on that assumption because I believe that you wouldn't be sitting in these seats giving us your service, your time and your energy, which I value greatly, if you didn't love this community as I do and as the rest of these people do. I have to believe you care, and so I'm going to operate on that assumption. I believe we share a common goal. I don't want to pit us against each other. We share a common goal, and that goal is what is in the best interest of Winthrop. We don't want to hear what's in the best interest of Revere or any other place. We want to know what is in the best interest of our town, and that you're going to represent us in those best interests. Now, we might have some diversity of opinion, but I think the goal is the same. So we have to decide what is in our best interest, and I don't mean individually. If someone tells me their daughter or son can get a job because they know somebody, or that your particular business is going to thrive because you're in that loop, you know, you can mention individual interest, but that is not what this is about. This is about community interest and putting your individual benefits and greed, and all of us putting our benefits and greed individually aside so we can do what's best for this town together. We all have memories of this town, going to the beach, having a short ride on that train into Boston, and all of the other wonderful memories that we have that we want our kids to have. Are we willing to gamble with this quality of life? Because certainly as we're sitting here, we will lose if we make that gambling game. The winners will be the house, the winners will be the casinos. We need to stand together. Surely the only thing I can guarantee us is the negative consequences. There is no legal promise that we will get those jobs. I hear about jobs. There is no legal commitment to these jobs for us. The mitigation is uncertain. They can give us very little. And so are we banking on their promises, knowing that it may not become a reality? So I've stood here before, I've written letters before, and I've given you, as a professional, my data, my statistics, my information, and my research. And I realize tonight's going to be a different orientation, and please allow me some liberty here. I'm going to talk not about as a professional, I'm going to talk about you as my neighbor, and all of our neighbors. When that guy next door to you comes over and tells you he's gone bankrupt because he has lost his paychecks to gambling, he has spent his life savings on gambling, and his children don't have money for medical care or schooling or anything else that families have in this town, how are we going to respond to that? I know how we'll respond because we're good neighbors. We're going to say, we'll do a fundraiser, and we'll do a rally, and we're going to make sure you don't lose your house. Will the casinos tell him the same thing? That we will pay you for your losses and your hardship and your bankruptcy? That we'll pay you for your addictions of gambling and alcohol? No, it's going to be us, his neighbors, will pay for these things. But how many can we pay for? Because the numbers will escalate.
Carol, not to interrupt, but there's a 5-minute time.
I will finish very shortly. Some argue that we may have revenue in business. I don't think we're going to get the business we want. We'll get business, and you know, take a look at the website of Ledyard, Connecticut, who hosts Foxwoods, and they will tell you everything you want to know, especially the mayor of that town, and all the hardships they've suffered. Crime has doubled, addictions have quadrupled, traffic, those casinos are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 hours a day. There is no relief on us. World-class hotel, you know what's going to spring up? This will be our business, besides pawn shops and liquor stores, will be cheap motels. No one talks about that because everyone thinks they're going to stay in world-class hotels. These are local gamblers. These are not world-class people. They're local, and they're going to look for cheap motels to stay in the area. Work is coming in. There was no promise they're going to hire local people. In Ledyard, they brought in people from other states and other countries. They flooded the area. They needed cheap housing, so boarding houses and motels and cheap housing sprung up.
All due respect,
My closing point is, Ledyard looked a lot like Winthrop. 15,000 people, a bucolic community, charming, a close-knit. It's unlivable now because of that casino. So please, I beg you, take this seriously, do not be short-sighted, and don't be greedy. The 30 pieces of silver they're going to give us will sell out of this town, and they'll never be a benefit to us. And if you have any direct benefits, something I'm not aware of, please tell me, because I haven't heard anything that's a direct benefit that's going to convince me otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Mr. Council President, my name is Mike Delahanty. As you know, I'm a police officer in Winthrop. I'm also an employee at Suffolk Downs since 1999. I was at Wonderland until the state voted out dog racing and ended all those jobs there. A lot of the people there went to Suffolk Downs. Suffolk Downs absorbed that crowd that didn't have jobs. I was one of them, part of that package already there. And Suffolk Downs is a fantastic employer. They treat their people better than I'm treated on a daily basis anywhere else. Well, I don't get spit at and yelled at. They've been good to me. They're good to all their employees there. Every Thanksgiving, even now in the way the times are, and they're not making what they made in the heyday, turkeys every Thanksgiving, something at Christmas every year. They're good to their employees. I'm speaking to the people who we already have Winthrop residents who that is their job now. And if they lose that, they're gonna be the benefits of the rallies and the fundraisers that because they're not gonna be able to afford it. There's nothing left. If that was your business, you're out. Dog racing, horse racing, gone. And the jobs that they have there, they're all good union jobs. They're not meaning, painting little jobs that you can barely get by on. They're good jobs with good benefits, all union jobs, and that's what they've already committed to for the new establishment. Suffolk Downs has made that promise, that they would all be jobs, with pensions, with benefits, with health insurance. It's quality employment. They've been good neighbors to the town of Winthrop. They've been in business since 1935. A lot of people here don't realize all the charity work that goes on because they may not be a benefit of it all. But their charity has been, every time they're asked, they come through. Whether it's use the room up on the 3rd floor or take care of a group, donations, that's all been made. So they are good neighbors and they have been good neighbors. I don't see that as changing. In a casino business, anybody that grew up here in the 60s, 70s, 80s, when Wonderland was a thriving business with traffic jams at Bell Circle, you've got an open window of probably 3 to 4 hours that the traffic floods in for racing and it floods out after racing. Casino is 24 hours and it's staggered in and staggered out. I've been to Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun, I've never seen a traffic jam. I haven't been a party to a traffic jam going there or leaving. So,
Okay.
I just want to express, as an employee, and I did have a group of people that were going to be with me tonight, but I got information that it was canceled and I called everything off, so that's on me.
Thank you, Michael. Tony? We'll go back.
If I may ask Mr. Delahanty a couple of questions.
No, there's no cross questions, this is comment. You can
All
make
right,
a comment.
this is a comment. Number one, let's assume, well, I believe this is not gonna happen, I have a lot of faith. But let's say the casinos do happen. Mr. Delahanty just mentioned union. I would assume, or I do believe, that anyone that's working for the casino would be working for a local union. Now, I'd like to know, what local union do you belong to? Do you know what local union? That's what the question I was asked Mr. Delahanty, what union are local that they belong to? That's a major factor, that everyone working for the casino will have to be joined into a union negotiation package.
Thank you.
That's all I'm telling you, that's the truth.
Anyone else that hasn't been heard? Yes.
Hi, my name's Anita Pachi, I'm from Precinct 4.
Pardon me?
Anita Pachi from Precinct 4.
Thank you.
I grew up in Winthrop, been here all my life with the exception of a few years when I was abroad. And I just want to reiterate the sentiments of the last few people that spoke. I don't see any benefit at all to having a casino next door or even 1,000 miles from here. To me, they don't bring really anything that good to any community. Now, the people who are running them and making the money, probably it's a good business for them, but to Winthrop being a small town, the way we're situated, how far we're from Revere, I think it's going to be a horrible negative impact in many, many ways. It has nothing to do with just traffic or just crime or just drugs. It's everything all together. We're a small community. Winthrop's worked for years and years and years to try to get ahead, to try to do better. I think we should be more creative about how we approach the financial situation and look for other ways to bring in money and not rely on things like what we get from the airport, what we get from the MWRA, and now what we might get from Suffolk Downs, which in my mind is just a lot of smoke and mirrors until it actually happens. I don't even believe what we do end up getting in the mitigation package will be anything that's really significant. So I don't understand why we're not looking at the bigger picture and realizing that it's not going to save Winthrop, and it's just going to help bring us down more than where we already are.
Thank you, Ms. Patrick. Just, I thought I saw Mike.
esteemed council, citizens of Winthrop. I'm Michael Murphy, first time at one of these meetings. As my wife has been here speaking a lot, I've been at home caring for my daughter. Kind of share the roles. We're at a critical juncture right now. This could very easily be a tipping point for our town. I hope you all realize this. Okay? I respect the comments in the room, but I'd like to state what I think. Okay? The reality is a casino being built less than a mile from our community puts us at risk as a community. The prosperity of a potential school being built may be prevented. Okay? It may prevent this prosperity from moving forward. I want to point out one thing that a casino comes in, what it assures to our town, to our citizens. It assures risk. Clearly, it assures risk and the quality of life for our citizens. This is what was learned when the state of Connecticut put forward a study looking at the impact of Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods on the surrounding communities in 2002. Council, I emailed you this link today. I hope you read it. Simply in the summary statement, it states the reality for the citizens in Connecticut and the surrounding towns. These are the facts. These are things that were looked at after the casino was placed. I'd like to pass this out if people want to look at this. This is what is known in retrospect after a casino comes to a community. These are our neighbors in the south. Okay? Councilors, I hope you looked at it today, but I'd like to point some things out. These are the facts as they learned in this study on the state of Connecticut website. Again, the Office of Legislative Research looked into this. So this is a governmental agency that's nonpartisan. There was an overall increase of 16 to 21% in index crimes. Index crimes are murder, rape, larceny, robbery, motor vehicle theft in the surrounding communities. Unfortunately, and what they learned was that most of these things occurred on the premises of the casino. We will be a mile from this area. Okay, that's in the study. Second, specific communities. Ledyard had an increase in larceny of 441%. Montville, 141%. Aggravated assault, so with a deadly weapon, most of the cases, in robbery went up 45 to 47% in some of the surrounding communities. Let's not talk about the other things people have talked about. I'm focusing on this, and I'll tell you why in a second. Domestic violence increased, drunk driving fatalities increased in the surrounding communities. The reason why I'd like to tell you this is I'm an emergency physician. I'm on the front lines. I unfortunately see the reality of rape, of murder, of drunk driving. These are not just headlines in a newspaper. These are realities. These will be on the doorstep of our community and our homes. Facts. We have first responders here. And unfortunately, if you look in their eyes, as you do in mine, I think you'd see that they've seen what I've seen. These are realities that may come to our town. All right? So, please make the right decision tonight. Please protect our town. Our future is in your hands tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ralph Tufo. I've been living in Winthrop for 40 years.
Just your precinct, Bill.
Precinct 4.
Thank you.
And raised a family here. I've taught in the Winthrop public school system. I'm a member of the Winthrop board. And I love Winthrop. Winthrop is a community. People care about each other. People know each other. I'm afraid that the fabric, the quality of life in Winthrop is going to be affected by putting a casino a mile away. And people have testified about the effects in terms of drugs, crime, prostitution, and also, the traffic. Winthrop is unique. I mean, you talk about other places. Trying to get out of Winthrop when we have the beach, we have the Wonderland parking, we have the McClellan Park parking lot, we have all of, I've been unable to get to work sometimes because of the weather conditions. Add a casino, and I've heard estimates of thousands of cars a day. Winthrop is not going to be Winthrop by the sea. It's going to be Winthrop, the town you can't see because you can't get there. Are people going to want to go to the restaurants and the businesses in Winthrop if you can't get there? Are the families with young children going to want to stay here? Are people going to want to move in here? What's going to be the effect of the property values? All these things have been said. This is a slippery slope. If you think that this is the end by just putting that casino in there, it's not. I can see a hotel where Serotonin was. I can see other kinds of gambling kinds of things, cheap motels. This is going to spread like cancer. This is not going to be business as usual. If we think this is business as usual, we're putting a casino down the street, we already have an airport, we have a sewage treatment plant, we've had a prison, what else? Are you going to move Guantanamo Bay people here? I mean, really. I think that the town council should be spending its time, not on mitigation, not being tossed some cookies, of which you may not get anything. I would like the town council to oppose this, or two, come up with a contingency plan. How are you going to deal with the crime, the drugs, and the traffic, and the economic impact? That's where you should be spending your time.
Thank you, Rob.
My name is Craig Parker, Precinct 2, Mr. Council President, fellow councilors. I moved to Winthrop about 3.5 years ago after a 10-month search living in Hanover, New Hampshire. I think Winthrop is one of the best kept secrets in the Boston area. I urge the council to do everything in its power to voice its opposition to a casino in Suffolk Downs. Winthrop is worth it.
Thank you.
I just want to, again, for the record, Richard Lenz, Precinct 5. I love Winthrop too. That's why I bought my house here, and that's why I stayed here. That's why I'm raising my child here. This isn't about whether you like Winthrop, love Winthrop, hate Winthrop, want to hurt Winthrop, or not protect Winthrop. This is about, and the word reality has been thrown around. The reality is that the council has no power to stop what happens in the city of Revere. We can send a letter saying we're opposed to it from the perspective of the town. What is that going to get the town? It's probably not going to get us a seat at the table to negotiate for the surrounding community. So if anything, taking the position to oppose the casino has symbolic value only. The legislation is pretty clear. It says that the host community gets to vote on whether or not there'll be a casino located in Revere. In this case, it would be the city of Revere. We, unfortunately, don't get that vote. So all we have is the ability to either be designated surrounding community and negotiate for whatever arrangement we could get, or we don't. So I think that's what the council has to consider. And I do hear all of the important comments and concerns and issues and ills, and I've been hearing it for 5 years. I guess my point is, that isn't what we're talking about tonight. What we're talking about is taking a symbolic position on something and potentially not having a seat at the table to being entitled to get the mitigation that we request. And again, I point to Fitchburg. If we're going to rely upon the commission to determine whether or not the town gets its fair share of mitigation, I think the town would be in a much better position if it were at the negotiating table negotiating for it. So taking a no vote really doesn't, I think, assist the town in that regard. I think taking no position at all from the town's perspective is the appropriate way to go here. I think sending a letter stating your opposition, I think harms the town more than helps.
Thank you, Richard. I think we've made it clear that we know that we don't have a vote. We know that we're not a host community. We know that the item that's on the agenda tonight does not carry any weight whatsoever legally. That the item that's on the agenda tonight was to express an opinion as to what the town council of Winthrop felt. Again, I hope everybody that's here understood that we are not a host community, and that by the law, the host communities are the ones that have the vote. This gentleman hasn't spoken.
Yeah, Joe Melchiona from Precinct 6.
I agree with the last gentleman that spoke here. I don't really see us, I know a lot of people have opinions, but I think it's important to realize that our opinion doesn't matter. What we think doesn't matter. It's Revere's prerogative to have a casino in their town. I say we sit at the same table as them to negotiate a mitigation package and the best package possible. Not during while it's built, or, you know, at the end where most of these factors more or less come into play. That would be a better time to negotiate, if it's possible. So I think that negotiating the best package, not like the package we negotiated with Massport, okay, where that was before the runway was built, then after the runway was built, we had all kinds of noise, including where we are in the Highlands, where it used to be quiet. I say negotiate the package, be friendly, but be firm and get the best deal possible. We have a lot of important projects coming up in the future, namely the middle high school, a new one being built. We don't want to place that burden all on the taxpayers. We want to try to get the best packages possible from the mitigation of the casino.
Thank you, sir. Somebody who hasn't spoken. Heather.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for taking public comment on the casino issue again. I appreciate it.
Heather, just identify, I know we all know who you are.
Heather Engman, Precinct 4, pardon me. And I also want to thank Councilor Mail, Council President Gill, and Councilor-elect Boyajian for speaking up on behalf of our community and sending a letter to the Gaming Commission last week opposing the development at Suffolk Downs. I also wanted to clear up a couple of, I think, maybe misconceptions that have been stated so far tonight. Suffolk Downs is no longer the operator of the proposed casino in Revere. It's now Mohegan Sun. Suffolk Downs, as I understand it, is simply going to be a landlord. I have no idea who's going to be making the decisions at that casino development. I don't think anybody does. Suffolk Downs based a lot of its campaign in both in this town, in Revere, and in East Boston on its history of being a good neighbor in this community. But that doesn't matter anymore because Suffolk Downs is no longer going to be the owner of the license holder of this establishment. Suffolk Downs also based a large piece of its campaign on saving the racetrack. And now the racetrack and the casino have to be legally separated. And there will be absolutely no requirement that the casino, that Mohegan Sun, keep that racetrack. The racetrack has been losing money for a lot of years, and in all likelihood it's going to close because it's no longer connected to the casino. As you all probably know, last week the Gaming Commission voted to require Mohegan Sun to win a new referendum in Revere. This vote is expected to take place in February or March. I think that Mohegan, since the November 5 vote, Suffolk Downs and now Mohegan Sun's efforts to circumvent the law and bend the rules have paid off, and the Gaming Commission looks poised to waive one of the regulatory requirements requiring that the applicant submit a binding vote with its application. So they're waiving that rule in order to accommodate this casino developer. It seems to be a continuing pattern for casino developers working to circumvent legal requirements, even as they should be on their best behavior in trying to earn the license to start out with. I anticipate that if Mohegan Sun does get this license and builds a casino at the Suffolk Downs property, that they will continue this pattern by trying to get out of any legal obligation or mitigation obligations for the town of Winthrop. Also, there was just an article in the Herald today indicating that Stephen Wynn, the developer for the proposed Everett casino site, is now lobbying the Massachusetts legislature, trying to get the casino law changed in order to accommodate the casino developers even more. None of this is going to bode well for surrounding communities, especially small towns like Winthrop. And I disagree strongly with the previous statements that Winthrop doesn't have any control in this matter and doesn't have a voice in this matter. The casino legislation clearly states that the Gaming Commission must consider the support or opposition of surrounding communities in deciding whether or not to issue a casino license. That's in the law. They're required to consider whether or not Winthrop wants a casino. And I think that, Winthrop, as I said last time, is uniquely situated as a surrounding community. We have only 2 roads in and out, and the casino will be less than a mile from either of those entrances and exits to the town. I just did a quick Google search on my phone, and the town of Fitchburg appears to have 27 square miles of land. It's in a vastly different circumstance than Winthrop, as, what do we have, less than 2 square miles of land? And so I do think that the voice and the opinion of Winthrop Town Council really matters. So I would like you to, please don't let outsiders determine the future and the fate of our community. I don't think that we should defer to what the voters in East Boston or Revere are doing. And I don't think we should wait for the Gaming Commission or a court just to decide what's going to happen. I would urge the town council to please take a firm and strong position against the Revere-only casino. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to speak? John? Oh, I'm sorry. Lisa had your hand up before.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. I'd like to first thank you for putting this on the
Lisa,
agenda.
name and-
Lisa
name and
Albertini,
please.
Precinct 6.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you first for putting this on the agenda, and would like to thank Councilor Mayo and President Council Gill for writing your letters to the Mass Gaming Commission. We do appreciate that. I'd like to make a comment, 2 comments, and then ask a couple of questions. On the comments, I think everyone knows that I obviously oppose the casinos. I think it will bring irreparable damage to the town of Winthrop. We should be looking toward our future and securing that future, and not being subjecting the town to the negative impacts of the casino. Regarding the jobs, I think that providing jobs to people is a really important thing, and we can't diminish or undermine that. I think we should be working together to find ways to support productive jobs, good mixed-use development there, better quality jobs than what the casino will bring. It's great that Suffolk Downs might be a good employer. They're not the casino, and I think it's going to change quite dramatically. On the questions, I would like to speak to mitigation for a moment. I actually think that stating our strong opposition is exactly what we should be doing as we're trying to reach a negotiation on mitigation. They need to know that we do oppose it, that there are negative impacts. We don't have to be, a friendly party at the table to get, in fact, that can damage, I think, our work in that regard. So I'd like to know, I have 4 questions. I know this is not supposed to be back and forth, but I would like to see if the council can answer these during your discussion.
We'll take your questions and maybe answer them later.
Maybe. So the first one is, who is the law firm negotiating on the town's behalf? Second is, who in Winthrop is working with that group to decide on the mitigation package? The third question is, what is the time frame for accepting a mitigation package? I think many of us read the Globe, and it kind of alarmed us and startled us that the town might be a couple of weeks or close to accepting a mitigation package. Don't know if that's true, but that's what the newspaper said. And on that point, I would strongly urge the council not to accept a mitigation package now, and give up whatever leverage we have should the casino, in fact, proceed and be able to come to Revere. So the third question was, again, what's the time frame for accepting the package? And the fourth question is, can a public meeting be held to discuss what mitigation is being considered, to inform us of what that is, and to discuss what's being considered, and particularly to inform us also of the process. There are questions about when you need to get a mitigation package in, or be subject to the Gaming Commission. And we really need to understand that better. We need to understand what's being discussed, whether or not it's adequate, because more than anything, I do believe, as Heather said, I do believe that our position does matter in this process as a surrounding community. But if the casino goes forward, what we really also need is a very strong mitigation package. And I think it would be unfair for the community not to be aware of what that is and not to have a voice before anything is accepted. So I think those are 4 questions. Thank you.
Comment on your comments. I don't have the name of the law firm in front of me.
Bruce Toby.
He's the attorney.
Bruce Tobey is the attorney, but he's a law, he belongs to a law
Is he a
firm.
Copeland Page?
No,
It's a national
we-
company, they're headquartered in New York with offices in Las Vegas.
So we can get, if
Okay.
you could email us the name, that would be great. And
I will get you the name. The process of exposing what's going on is detrimental to the negotiation process, and it's a common thing that the negotiation stays not in public, whether it's a labor negotiation or whatever. The people that are dealing with Bruce Tobey and we're dealing with Suffolk Towns, the Councilor Powers, myself, and the town manager. As far as the Globe report was inaccurate.
and can you tell us what the time frame is for accepting the mitigation package that you're
The,
considering?
the Suffolk Downs has to have their proposal in by the 31st of December. I believe that there will not be a mitigated package by the 31st of December. Right.
And I understand, I do
That,
appreciate.
by the way,
that.
let me step back on that. That time can then be extended. Hold on one second. Did I answer your question?
The fourth one was a public meeting, and I did not mean so much to discuss necessarily, obviously, when you're in a sensitive negotiation, you can't make that terribly public, but I think it is important for people to understand at least what's on the table and what the timeframes are. For example, if you didn't accept a package by the 31st or December, or January, third week in January, let's say, you know, how late can, this is a process question that our attorney can answer without talking about the details of negotiation. if
I'll have to
that's
find that out
advisable.
first.
But in a public meeting, questions that,
Yes.
can we hold a public meeting to learn about the process?
Would you do me a favor? Would you put those in an email to me?
Sure.
Because I'll forget. The name of the company is Pinot, Lopes, Devereaux, and West. From the council. Council Powell.
My understanding is they have to submit by December 31st.
Right.
They have 30 days after that date to come up with packages with surrounding communities.
Right.
Mr. President?
So that would make
Council,
that
we'll
30
do
days off
it.
deadline.
And just to fill it on the public meeting
And the
piece,
January.
we had a council casino committee, I think was the name of it,
Right.
the Council Power chaired, and they've met over the course of well over, almost a year, had several meetings, met with every group to get their input, be it public safety, public works, education, the Chamber of Commerce. They had all these meetings and hearings, which were all public. And the firms representing us now has all that data and input from those hearings that were held as part of the package. So we're not going in blind. There's well over a year's worth of work developing what the different studies and components that are being done. And as to the law firm representing us, we're very well represented. It is a firm that does this, and it's actually being paid by the proponents. They have an obligation to pay our legal bills on this, so they're paying for the data, the research, and all those incurred costs. So we're not behind the eight ball just trying to put this together ourselves. There was work done for a year to develop our position, which was all public, and now we're at the point of being well represented at the negotiation.
Any further?
Council President, can I just have one follow-up question?
Okay.
Can we, I appreciate that, is it possible to appoint two citizens to the group to join the three councilors, or the two councilors and I think the town manager, who are hearing back and listening to the attorney's recommendations and what that package will be?
It doesn't follow the guidelines. It has to be a counselor, it has to be an executive group, and it has to be the counselor, a counselor, the council president, and the town manager.
That's what the law says.
No, that's what we put our decision with.
You know, listen,
Okay, hold on.
just as a point, and I know everybody would want to be involved, the problem with bringing a group of citizens in is you're not held to any particular, requirements of it. And as counselors, we're not able to discuss that because it does come in executive session. But I don't know why, and I would certainly want people to know before this was accepted, and I don't know what the legal ramifications are, but if it was my druthers, I would have a public meeting on it, because there's two elements to it as far as I'm concerned. One is what is actually the mitigation, and two, what's the pleasure of the town in a sense. I don't think we particularly negotiated poorly in the past, certainly not with the MWRA. What we did do poorly in the past with the MWRA was we decided to use that money to subsidize tax revenues as opposed to use it for the things that we would have needed and kept that as a long-term deal. But I see that as a separate element of it, and I think that bringing people in from the public to do that would put them under undue pressure to, be sworn to secrecy with no, just a tough situation. So I think you may have to hold back, at least from my...
So if you could put that question in the email, then I'll check it with the town
And this is
attorney.
just not to suggest that we should be, I don't want to undermine the fact that I'm opposed, and I think we should take a position strongly and clearly in opposition. I think that will help entertain.
Yeah, I think that's the item on the agenda tonight, is do we take a position? Anybody who has not spoken? John?
My name's John Rivero from Precinct 1, and whether or not there's going to be negative impacts, it's already been acknowledged in the law. The law calls for a mitigation package. It enumerates the fact that there may be increase in crime, small impact on small businesses, and real estate properties values may go down. That's why we have mitigation packages in the first place. Regarding what you've learned during that committee, I'm not sure if we saw a report that came out that said, enumerated and quantified the impacts that we expect to happen here in Winthrop, but I think that that's something that you certainly could share with the people of Winthrop without, revealing anything that's going on in the negotiations. That might be a reason for you to oppose the casino once you've learned all of and you can reveal, what's in there, what the impacts are going to be. Regarding casinos, there's not a single community that's benefited from having casinos. Let's just give you one example. I know I have a million of them, and you've heard them all over the past couple of years. But the state of Pennsylvania just recently passed New Jersey and has become the second leading state in terms of revenue from casinos. And they're still having a problem, a serious problem, crisis, funding all their education. And in a lot of the casino communities, real estate taxes have gone up, including in Pittsburgh. And the rebate that was promised in Ben Salem, which is often cited by Suffolk Downs folks as a success story, that has gone down. Real estate taxes have gone up. So we know that there's going to be negative impacts. We know that they're not going to stop at the border of Revere. We know that they're going to be felt here. But what are those impacts going to be? What did you learn in that exhaustive research that you did over the past year? I don't think a report ever came out. Now, in terms of what we were told here in Massachusetts, we were told that 38 states had gone before us, that we would learn from all of their mistakes. And where are we today? We had a proposal that came out from Suffolk Downs that straddled two cities. The law said if a proposal straddles two cities, it has to get an upvote from both of those cities. Well, East Boston voted no. So what happened? Let's change the rules. The Gaming Commission that we all have to depend on, turned around last week and said, you know what? Mohegan Sun can helicopter in here. They can now become the applicant here in Revere only, and they can now, let's break that deadline, let's have a new vote. Whatever it takes to have competition. What does it matter what happened in East Boston? Let's just forget about what that no vote. So now tonight, your task before you is to decide whether you're going to leave this on for next generations, because once this casino goes in, as I've said many times before, there's not anybody in this state that can close a casino once it's open.
Okay,
so whatever impacts that you expect to happen, you're going to be passing them on to the future generations. So choose wisely.
Thank you. We've had public comment going now for a little over a half hour, about 35 minutes. I'll take 2 repeats of a minute each. Is there anybody who hasn't spoken yet? Okay, about a minute each. Carol?
You can go first. Richard?
Okay.
I'll go. Thank you. Heather Inman, Precinct 4. And I just wanted to respond quickly to the comments about negotiating a mitigation agreement and the research that has taken place over the past year. As I stated earlier, Suffolk Downs is no longer the applicant. Very, very few details about this Mohegan Sun development have been revealed yet. I've seen a couple of pictures in the newspaper, and that's it. For example, what's their new traffic plan going to be? I don't think that's been released yet. And, I have a lot of questions, particularly about that traffic plan, because are they going to be able to use the driveway that's located in East Boston? Or is all that traffic going to be coming down Route 145 into the Beachmont entrance? So there are a lot of things that we don't know about this proposal because it has completely changed. Suffolk Downs came to Winthrop twice last summer to explain the development and tell people what they were doing, and all of that is out the window. This is a completely different proposal and a completely different applicant.
Thank you. 1 minute.
Okay, I just wanted to respond. Principles matter. To say that we have no control and no principles is exactly what we're fighting for. To have control and to have principles that this town is founded on, that people cherish. So I would urge you to have principles. I would urge you to be our leaders and make a decision, take a stand, and let's do this together. Secondly, I would propose that mitigation, we're weakening our position, because without having an approval in Revere, what are we mitigating? Why don't we do what Boston did? Boston, to the best of my knowledge, has suspended any mitigation discussion until they know whether Revere has that casino license or not. Why not do the same as Boston? If Boston can do it, Revere can do it. Winthrop can do it, and it puts us in a much better position to show our opposition first, and it gives us a stronger position to mitigate.
Thank you. I had said 2 more. Public comment's over. I'm sorry, I had said 2 more. Unless public comment on Suffolk Downs is over. I see some other people came in who I think may have had public comment on another issue. Am I accurate?
Can I make one more comment?
You've got 30 seconds, Tony. Public comment is over. If you can do it in 30 seconds, go ahead.
I'll say, start counting. Rise up in my life. Most of you here know me. I've taken care of all of you. I've taken care of your children. I want to tell you, I've worked for many police officers, many chiefs of police also. You have a good one back there, and he knows what I'm talking about. This town and many other towns have a severe drug problem and suicidal rate. I've been on top of it. I've been with it. Remember, the buck stops with me when it comes to medicine. The other gentleman right here I've had a long talk with, blood and guts. But I'm going to tell you something. A lot of this has been hidden. A lot of it's going around. The other thing is prostitution.
Okay, I think
Hey,
we're
no,
all that
no, one thing, minute. When this casino comes in, it's just going to probably multiply itself. And we're going to have a big problem again.
We understand there are concerns about what and that's why there's a mitigation, as Mr. Rivero pointed out. Is there any other comment from the council?
Yeah.
From the council on the public comment? Okay, great. Councilor Mayor.
So I obviously, have sent a letter against it, and for those of you that are in favor of that, I probably don't have to explain anything, but for those of you who are against that, I think you deserve my explanation on why I did that. One, I do not understand why a letter from the council stating that we are against that in any way hinders our negotiating strategy. Quite frankly, I think it makes it a lot stronger. If I go over to you and say, I want to buy your house and I have to have it, you're more likely to think you can get a little bit more than if you are trying to get me to buy it. So my feeling is that I want to go in there having them know that if you're going to force this down my throat, you're going to pay me dearly for it because it's going to hurt me. And I know tonight was not a good idea, but I drive about 1 hour and 15 minutes a day from Needham, and it can take me over 35 minutes to get from the airport exit.
Yeah.
If you're not going to pay me dearly to do that, then I don't want to hear about it at all. In my lifetime, I've seen a 1-lane airport encroach the entire town. And in all honesty, I've said many, many times in my 2 years as councilor, there is no single bigger issue in this town than the airport. The casino is almost nothing compared to the effects that the airport has. To me, I'm not done. To me, I'm going about and I'm saying to them, you want to negotiate with me, that's fine, but you're coming against someone who is not particularly far. To further, I just looked on a map. Leominster and Fitchburg are separated by Route 2. The Casino Commission, Suffolk Downs, in their public statements has already stated to us that we are a surrounding community. These guys misplayed their hand 12 miles away, I can understand it, okay? And finally, I just mentioned it, I don't see why we can't be upset and still negotiate fairly for the town. And to me, the most important thing is when they do put this, and I do honestly believe it will go in Suffolk Downs, my goal is to see that we use the money wisely and that it becomes an investment to us so we can get some value out of the long-term effects of what the casino are. I thought you deserved that. I did oppose it. I did write a letter for it, and I will support the council doing that this evening.
Thank you, Councilor. Yes, Councilor.
Yeah, I'd like to agree too, because I've lived in Winthrop all my life as well, and I've raised 9 kids here, and I have a bunch of grandchildren that are living in this town, and I want this town to prosper. I love this town, and I've worked for this town for a long time, doing things to help the town be better. I want the town to be better. I have not written a letter in opposition to the Riviera-only casino. And there are reasons why I haven't written a letter in opposition to the Riviera-only casino. Because I don't know what that Riviera-only casino is gonna be yet. I was on the initial mitigation committee, casino committee, 4 years ago when we started talking with Suffolk Downs. And I saw their proposals. I saw the proposals that they had to alleviate traffic. And I thought it was a good proposal to put an overpass at Boardman Street so the people from Winthrop could always take a left continuously out of Winthrop and out of Boardman Street to get to Boston. I thought that was a good thing for Winthrop. We've talked about money coming to Winthrop to do things that we can't do ourselves, like adding 4 firemen, 4 police officers. Those were things that were part of the deal that was going on with Suffolk Downs. That was when it was all gonna be a casino that was run by Suffolk Downs. That situation has changed. That situation's changed greatly. We're still not gonna have a say as to where the casino goes, but there's definitely going to be a casino either in Everett or in Revere. We don't know where it's going, and we have no say where it's going. We can write a letter saying we oppose it, but is that going to mean anything to the Casino Commission? Who's going to make this decision? We're not going to make the decision. The people of Revere are going to make a decision in February when they vote on whether or not they want it in Revere. And they can make that decision that they don't want it in Revere, and then it will be dead in February whether we write this letter or not. What do we gain by writing a letter from the town of Winthrop now in opposition? I don't see any gain to it. I only see harm into it. And this is what I said at the last meeting 2 weeks ago. I see harm in writing a letter saying we do not support the leadership from Revere that's looking for it, because they support us. February 18th, which is in 2 days, we have a petition, an application in before the economic target area to get money into Winthrop, to help bring money into the center and revitalize it. Revere's already sent a letter for us, but they can go to that hearing and support us, or go to that hearing and oppose us getting that money. If we oppose them in public with a letter from our council saying Winthrop does not support the councilors and the mayor of Revere, why would we expect them to come and help us get money from something completely different from the casino? It doesn't make sense that they would do that. The Revere Police Department, with the Joint Drug Task Force with Winthrop, just this past week, cleared the Winthrop streets of 8 drug dealers or drug addicts, as well as other people who had warrants in Winthrop. That was a joint effort because Revere came and helped Winthrop. Now, for us to say we're opposed to you in Revere really affects my sense of morality. That, you know, you're doing something for us, Revere mayors and councilors, and helping us clean our streets of drug addicts. You're helping us get money for economic development, and now we're going to say to you, whatever you want, we're going to oppose. I can't do that,
And I won't do that. I won't vote to write a letter from the council tonight to oppose a Revere casino that the Revere mayors and councilors want. So I want you to know where I'm coming from, and that's the main reason. And I have not seen anything that Mohegan Sun is proposing, so it's really too soon, I think, for anyone to say we're opposed to what we don't know, because we're not negotiating with them yet. That's my feeling.
Councilor, thank you. I want to explain my reasons for also not writing a letter as a private citizen to the Casino Commission. They're different from Councilor Boncory's. My thoughts are similar to Mr. Lynn's thoughts, and here's why. If we're sitting across a negotiating table with Mohegan Sun and we refuse to negotiate, or if they view us as hostile, I don't think that they're going to say, we don't want to negotiate with you, we're going to go back to the Casino Gaming Commission. That said, this is the same Casino Gaming Commission that has allowed the city of Revere, rather, to vote on this, essentially flipping the game a little bit. I think that I do not want to rely on the Casino Gaming Commission when it comes to the negotiating factor. I'm against all the negative impact. I care very deeply about my neighbors. I care very deeply about the traffic, the drugs, the other issues that may come. I don't see the town of Winthrop, by writing a letter, affecting the Gaming Commission's decision whether or not to grant a license to the casino in Revere. They will grant a license, whether it's Revere or Everett. In the meantime, I don't want to hinder our ability in negotiation, and I think it will. I do not think it's going to better our position. I think it's only going to detract from our position, and they're going to say, go ahead, let's let the Gaming Commission decide, because we're not going to do it for, we're not going to sit here with you.
Any further comments from the council? Councilor.
I too share in all of your concerns. I was a dad, I'm a dad here, my kids went to school here, I own property here. Myself, relative to local economy and quality of life, have the same concerns you do, each one of you. Anytime I can help my neighbor, and anyone at this council can help their neighbor, we do. I've lost business because I've taken position as a council member. I'm a local businessman. So the decisions I make are not based on what I gain, personally or professionally. It's what I think is right for the town as a whole. This council has worked to put us in a better place since the town government has changed. You all see it. You've seen coming over the bridge, you've seen new schools, you've seen us fiscally become more responsible and oversee everything that's going on in town. You see that we've been making improvements as a council, and sometimes sacrificing our own personal moving forward with friends or neighbors or with business. So for someone to say that we would benefit, me personally, I think I can speak from the council, bothers me, and it's bothersome, because you know what? I lose more than I gain from being a councilman financially. So it's important that you know that each one of us, whether we agree or we disagree, try to make the right decision based on what's good for the town, not for what's good for our personal benefit. I do believe that this council, whether you're for or against the casino, have an obligation to prepare if it does come. Ribeiro has made some comments relative to the state committee or commission making decisions and changing the game. Absolutely. I do not think for a moment, whether I agree or disagree with writing a letter, that a letter is going to make any difference. And just by the history of the last couple of weeks, I don't know if anybody else can say the same thing. I think we all know that they've made their decisions, whether it comes to Suffolk Downs or whether it goes to Everett, is to be determined. But as a councilor and as a council, we have an obligation to make sure that we're in a position to get the most we can get if in fact it does come. That being said, am I concerned about economic development? Absolutely. Anybody who knows me, I've been involved with Chamber of Commerce, I've worked hard to make businesses happen here, so on and so forth. I know the impacts. I know the impacts of traffic, just like we all do. And all those things being considered, I think we have to put ourselves as a council and representing everyone in the best position to get the most we can get if it does come. And I think it's coming. I too served with Council Powers and Council Bob Corey on the package on the casino committee for a couple of 3 years. We did meet with the chief of police, the chief of fire, DPW director, educationally, with the superintendent, with schools, and we all have the same concerns that you have. And I don't want to leave Winthrop. I don't want to see Winthrop change. We've changed Winthrop in a positive way. We as a council and you as a community working with us. And you've seen it. So that hasn't changed. That's what we want and that's where we are. And that's where I am personally. For us not to prepare would be irresponsible for us as a council representing you. Because if it comes, we have to get the most and the best package that we can. And we have to treat it differently than we've treated the airport and that we treated MWRA. And that's what we're here for. Whether I agree or disagree with a letter, it doesn't mean I'm not concerned or this council is not concerned about our future. And what's important is for us to represent this town and make sure we get, with the impacts that may come and will come, to make sure we get the best package for us and for us as a community. Thank you.
Councilor Powers. I wasn't going to say anything this evening on this issue initially because considering it's my last meeting, I was trying to have a nice quiet last meeting. I look at it this way, and I believe my service to this community, and I have 36 years of service to this community, both on the fire department and on this council. I think I have proven my commitment to this community and my love for this community. My personal opinion in this matter doesn't count. I sit here as a councilor at large, which means I represent the entire community. I understand the concerns of the one side, but I also have people who are also my constituents who are supporting the casino on the other side. So I'm in a position of who do I represent? Do I represent the people who are against the casinos? Do I represent the people who are for the casinos? Do I represent the people who are saying we should do nothing and let things play out? Which side do I represent? My feeling is that I have to represent everybody. And in order to do that in this particular instance, I'm afraid I'm going to have to take a position of neutrality and not vote either for or against sending a letter. And that's strictly the way it is. My personal feelings of the matter don't make any difference. I'm an elected representative of everybody. And I understand people probably on both sides are not happy with me right now about that. But that's the way I feel. I understand the concerns and I understand the pros and cons on both sides. I have a responsibility to represent the entire community, not just one group of people who wants things to go one particular way. And that certainly does not mean I don't care for this community, because again, I believe I have shown my commitment to this community over the course of my career. I have more time serving this community probably than anybody else in this council. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I respect everybody that came here tonight to speak, and I know it's very hard to do so. And, we could all agree to disagree on certain issues, but one of the things I looked at while people were speaking, we've talked about mitigation for several weeks. And I just said, well, let me look up the definition of mitigation and see what it actually means. And it's lessening the force or intensity of something unpleasant. So we're not getting mitigation money because something great is coming. I think that's, by definition, that's what it is. Like Councilor Powers, I think we're elected to serve the people and not our own best interest. And overwhelmingly, for my precinct, of people I've heard, not in favor of the casino. And I have to respect that. I look at what comes to our town from this, and I don't see the positive, personally. I see traffic, I see congestion, I see a lot of harm that could come to the town. And I think it's our responsibility to look towards the future. And regardless of what happens, I don't think, Is it coming, is it not coming? I don't know. It's coming to Revere, it's coming to Everett, it's coming to one of them. I don't think it's coming anytime soon, but I don't think that that means that we can tread lightly, because it won't be coming for a couple of years, or 3 or 4 or 5 years. But I also don't think that we can be held ransom for our town, and I don't think that we should turn around and say, well, it's coming anyway, so we gotta play nice and fair. I think we have to say the way we feel and make people know the way we feel. And from what I'm hearing, from the phone calls I've got, from the people that have come to my store, people are unhappy about it, people are against it, and I have to respect that, and I do. I think we should take a position. I agree with Councilor Mail that, not that it's necessarily good for your opponent to know how you feel, but I do definitely agree if it puts us in a better position, if your opponent realizes that it's not something that you're welcoming. It's something that you're going to fight for, and you're going to try to get the best. If it does come, I think we deserve the most we possibly can get. And I don't think any mitigation package, similar to the MWRA or Massport, is really going to be enough to outweigh the negatives that's going to come. I don't disagree with Councilor Boncory, Councilor Sanford, that very likely it could be coming to East Boston, and we'll have to deal with that the best way we can, like we do with everything else, and move on and get the best we can for our town. But as a councilor, I just look at my constituents, and they're overwhelmingly not in favor of this, are the ones that have spoken to me, and I have to respect that, and I do. And again, mitigation is not for something pleasant, it's for something unpleasant. So I thank you.
I have to agree with Councilor Mail that if we do nothing, we in fact are saying we're in favor of the casino. I also have to agree with Councilor Mail that if we do nothing, if we do something, then we are encouraging a better mitigation package than if we do nothing. If we do nothing, then we are accepting it, and Suffolk, or now Mohegan Sun, doesn't have to sell themselves to us. We have no vote. That's absolutely true. I, as a citizen, have listened and heard what people have said. I, as a councilor, have had very similar input to what Councilor Lettieri has. I feel that the issue that's before us tonight is, do we, as a council, take a stand and say that we are not in favor of the casino at Revere? I believe that we should do that. I believe that it's to our benefit to do it. I believe it's to our detriment not to do it. If the council votes, the majority of the council votes not to do it, then I believe, as I already have done, that those of us who are against it individually, as councilors, not representing the council, as I said in my letter to the commission, have the obligation to express that concern. Do we owe the city of Revere? Do we cooperate well with the city of Revere? Did the city of Revere just help us in a major drug bust? Yeah, but it's a two-way street. That's a team. It's not Revere coming in and saying, hey, here we are to help you. We're working very well together as a team. We may have a disagreement as to where the casino should go. Revere has significant financial positive impacts from this casino, if it goes there. I've also firmly stated, since this whole issue came up and I've been on the council, that it's our obligation to get the best mitigation package we can get if it comes here. I would prefer it not to come here. I would prefer to not have the opportunity to have a mitigation package. At this point, do we owe our neighbors some consideration? Yes, we do, our neighbors in Revere. But I think right now, I as a councilor, a lifelong Winthrop resident, father, grandfather, I believe that my responsibility is to the citizens of Winthrop and to the community of Winthrop. And if I have to weigh my responsibility as to Winthrop and Revere, or Winthrop or Revere, my obligation is to the town of Winthrop. And I believe that we've been told, and the evidence has shown, and as Councilor Lettieri mentioned, the definition of mitigation recognizes that there's negative impacts. So given the negative impact, if we don't want the negative impacts, I believe that we, either collectively or individually, need to express our concerns to the Mass Gaming Commission. I haven't read the law where Heather says that the Gaming Commission has to hear from, and has to take into consideration surrounding communities, but even if they didn't have to, I believe they would, in good conscience, at least listen. Again, not to be repetitive. If we do nothing, we're saying yes. If we do something, we're at least expressing our concern. So I would urge the council to send a letter. One other thing. If, by the way, the council sent a letter today, and suddenly tomorrow, the sky opened up and Suffolk Downs was going to be the most wonderful thing, the most wonderful place in the world to have a casino, we have the opportunity to send a new letter that says, oh yeah, we changed our mind. And by the way, Suffolk Downs is going to drop $50 million and none of us is going to have to pay real estate taxes anymore, and they're going to protect us and all that kind of stuff. Then we can say yeah. Right now, we have no mitigation. Thank you.
Council President.
Council Keller.
Okay. I guess everyone has said how they feel, and listening to everyone, I feel the same way that they all feel, both the ones that are for it and the ones that are against it. And as I said at our last meeting, that I really do appreciate all the work and research that this committee has done in trying to educate everyone as to the pros and cons of having a casino. But I also want to mention that a little lost in the shuffle here is that our Speaker of the House and our State Representative, Bob DeLeo, has also worked tirelessly to try to bring jobs to this area, to the people that he hears from on a day-to-day basis as well, that are losing their homes, not because they lost it to gambling, but because they don't have a job. Yes, you could lose it to gambling, you can lose your money, but people are losing it for not having a job, and they're losing their health care, they're losing everything. So that's another flip side of the coin that we have to deal with, and we have to try to figure out how can we make this better, make our community better. Do I want to live next to a casino? No, I don't. I really don't want to live next to a casino, but the thing is that Winthrop didn't have a vote. We never had a vote from the very beginning. So in the assumption, as this all began, everybody was, well, you know what, we're going to have the casino, let's make the best of it and make the best mitigation package that we can for the town of Winthrop. I feel very strongly like Councilor Powers does, that I almost feel like I'm being pressured to make a decision about another community. There's another community that overwhelmingly voted to have this casino, to host this casino. They want it. They, had an election, they voted for it. Now, I understand that East Boston now is out of it, and I know that some of the games, the rules have changed. And that can happen. And who knows what's going to happen next. Something else could change as well. But I don't feel comfortable trying to tell another community that I don't want you to have that casino. That would be like Revere saying to Winthrop, well, we don't want you to do this in your town. After we've decided it's what we wanted, it's for our best, we have a ferry, we have this, or whatever it is that we want. And they say, well, we don't want you to have that. We're against it because, it doesn't work for us. I just feel as though, I'm just being forced into making a decision on something that we would never, ever opted the opportunity to make this decision to begin with. And I feel like a neutral party, like Council Powers does. That's how I feel. I feel very uncomfortable.
From the count. Councilor Devante.
I wasn't going to speak until we get to deliberations, but I pretty much think we should get deliberations out of the way at this point. Several things have happened. One, the plan has changed, so we don't know what the new plan is. Two, people want to talk about taking a stand against mitigation, against the casino and mitigating. Well, part of the facts of this one, very short period of time to mitigate. to negotiate a deal. If we come out again that we don't want to be a partner, or we want to take an adversarial position, there's also a second group that's going to say, well, if you don't want us, we won't negotiate, which drops this whole thing back to the Mass Gaming Commission developing our mitigation package for us. If that happens, we have no say what's going on. And we're going to have to accept whatever's given to us. So how do we tell somebody, we don't want you, but please, let's work out a deal? When they have the option of saying, okay, you don't want us, we don't have to work out a deal. The clock's ticking. If we're going to take an adversarial position, we're going to close the door on negotiation, on any type of negotiation or mitigation, and let the Mass Gaming Commission tell us what we're going to get. This isn't a typical mitigation. There is a third-party approval. Whatever's mitigated has to be approved by the Mass Gaming Commission as part of the package. So we have an opportunity to negotiate a package as part of their application, or wait until after the fact and have the Mass Gaming Commission give us what they think we should get. Now, as a neighboring community, yes, are we highly impacted? Yes, we are. And does anybody really want a casino in their backyard that close? Probably not. But we have to look at the situation. We're 18,000 people approximately. Well, last Friday, City Manager Jay Ash, Mayor Driscoll, Mayor Kennedy, as well as Mayor Rizzo, and I'm not sure what Saugus' position is, but those are all the surrounding communities. They all came out in support of the casino in Revere. Now, you've got well over 100,000 people being represented in communities that are endorsing the package, the project we're putting in Revere. And we're going to stand out there, be a little fish in a pond, all by ourselves, with virtually no input, saying, no, we don't want it. The Gaming Commission is going to look at this and say, yeah, Winthrop's impacted. But let's face it, the development for the region that is now becoming involved, all the way up to Salem, as part of impacted communities, we're supporting this for economic development, for jobs, for everything, Winthrop is going to be left out and say, as a bunch of people who are saying, we're just against it, and the Gaming Commission really isn't going to take much value in that position. When it comes down to jobs, let's face it, the jobs are around. There's not going to be a huge influx of hot bedding in Winthrop. There's the blue line. There are a lot, as Mr. Evangelista said, you've got local electricians, Brotherhood of Electricians is one of the representatives. I don't remember the number, it's not 103, but it's another electrical union affiliated. And that mostly gaming jobs are with that union, if I'm correct. You most likely have SIEU members working the hotels. The jobs are a myriad of jobs. Some are the hotel jobs, some are security jobs, some are high-tech jobs, some are electrical and maintenance jobs. It's a 24-hour operation. There are a lot of very well-paying jobs. Most of the jobs are in the 40,000 plus range, which I don't know when anybody come to this area that's bringing jobs in a decent pay range. We're looking at two options: Revere or Everett. Everett's 6 miles away. If you're going to become bankrupt living in Winthrop because the casino's in Revere, I think you're going to make your way over to Everett to become bankrupt also. If gambling is the issue that you have, it's going to be in our backyard. It just might be a couple streets over. Everett's not that far from Winthrop. So to come out full-blown against anything, which we haven't seen, puts us in a position of leaving our destiny of anything we may possibly get in the hands of the Mass Gaming Commission with no recourse. So I don't see at this point why taking a position is something that we need to do.
Comment? Okay, thank you. At this point, I would like to close public comment. We've been going for an hour and a half on this.
Well, but it's a lifetime of issues for an hour and a half, you know, in all honesty. This is a big issue.
This is the third public comment period. Go ahead, Councilor Mayo. Well, this will be the last of the public comment.
In all due respect to Councilor Del Vento, there is a difference between driving from here to East Boston and driving from here to Everett. And quite frankly, you can't leave Winthrop without going by one of the doors to Suffolk Downs. You can leave and you can go to Everett and get by it. And, you know, those other communities that you spoke of so eloquently, there is a major difference, and that is the fact that that was their elected leaders. The only group that voted on that was Revere. They voted for it. They're a big winner. None of the other communities voted for it. Chelsea borders Revere with development opportunities along the creek. That's a foregone conclusion for them. Winthrop has no development opportunities. It is just a hardship for people coming and going. We are locked in by those areas. And I do not think that there is any validity to the fact that when you sit down with someone and they know you're not for them, that they have to treat you any differently. We don't know that they are going to say, we're not going to deal with you, go to the Gaming Commission. That may be seen by the Gaming Commission as their inability to negotiate with us and then not be a good partner. So while I appreciate your points, and I can certainly understand everybody else's vote on this subject, I do think we enhance our capabilities of negotiating by telling people out front that we're not for this. I do know one thing, if we do turn this down and we walk in there, they're going to say, geez, your people are for it, but you guys were against it, so we got a little better chance of going, and, you know, as opposed to having a vote, so.
All right, public comment period is closed.
Councilor Gill, I know I'm out of order, but I know it's better to beg for forgiveness than to ask for
Public
permission.
comment period is closed.
All the folks that have mentioned that they have.
Public comment period is closed, John.
Had the opportunity
Public comment period
to
is
send a
closed.
letter to the speaker, and they refused to.
Would you inform Mr. Ribeiro that public comment is closed?
You can send an email or correspondence in to the council for their future consideration. I think you know where everyone stands tonight. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. On to communications, correspondence. We did have a correspondence from Michael Murphy. Michael, I think you pretty much covered yours. Do you want me to read it anyway?
What's that?
Do you want me to read your correspondence?
Sure.
Okay. Pretty much you've covered it, but what you didn't specifically cover was, I hope that you vote no concerning the proposal in Revere for the Suffolk Downs, and you pretty much went on with your following what you said. And then I also had one late this afternoon from Mary Ann Collins. Dear Council President and fellow board members, unfortunately, due to the bad weather, I will not be able to attend tonight's council meeting. I wanted to take a minute to make you aware that I'm one of the many town residents who oppose the casino being built in Revere. Any assistance or support you can provide us would be greatly appreciated. There is no further correspondence at this point.
I thought there was correspondence from Steve Rosell. Did you receive that?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, there was.
Steve Russell.
There was. And I don't have it with me. Steve Roussell's
I have it if you
comment
want it.
was that if it comes, I believe, if it comes, he would like us to get the best mitigation package that we could. That's my recollection of it.
Correct.
I don't have it to read it.
I have it if you so want it, it's up to you.
I think that covers it. I talked to Steve at length on the phone after that, so that's why I didn't bring the communication. Public comment is over. Pardon?
I also sent an email, there was correspondence that I sent last night.
You sent it last night?
Yep. 11:08 PM.
I must have been asleep. I don't have it. Councilor Mail, would you read it? Want me, please?
I am writing to thank you for your leadership and writing to the mat. This was sent to me.
And then copied.
It was copied to everybody, but it was directed to me. I'm writing to thank you for your leadership and writing to the Mass Gaming Commission about the negative effects the proposed Revere Casino would have on the town. You've taken a clear position. I'm thankful. That is why all the councilors were elected to represent Winthrop citizens with a strong and divisive vote. I want to thank you for having the courage to do that. I also appreciate Council President Peter Gill for submitting a letter, and Councilor-elect Rick Boyajian for his thoughtful letter to the MPC. I and my fellow Winthrop neighbors opposed to the Revere Casino. Look forward to continuing to work with you to secure a bright future for our community by defeating the casino proposal. That was your letter.
Would anybody want to make a motion to move to old business, to specifically take this vote? Or do we want to?
Council President, that was the other correspondence if you want.
Oh.
I'm not sure. You were looking for it earlier. You got it?
No.
It went off. Motion for a 5-minute recess.
Motion for a 5-minute recess from Council Vice President Carone. 5-minute recess. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting back to order. Somebody had made a motion that we would move to old business. I did not hear a second. Second. Who made the motion to move to new business? To old business. Before we... All right, Jim, Councilor Lettieri makes a motion to move to old business, specifically to deal with the communication to the Gaming Commission. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Yeah.
Seconded by Councilor Mayo. All those in favor of moving to old business, specifically to discuss and vote on the motion that was deferred, moved from last meeting to this meeting. Any discussion on that motion?
What is the motion?
The motion is, are we going to move to old business to discuss the issue of the... Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. On the floor right now, we have a motion that was postponed from the last meeting when Councilor Del Vento exercised his right to postpone it being the first time on the agenda. The motion was by Councilor Mayo that the council submit a letter to the Gaming Commission expressing our concerns about the development of a Revere-only casino project, which was then amended by Councilor Powers, that the town manager develop a letter to present to the council and take action at the next meeting, and at that meeting be sent to the Mass Gaming Commission. So the motion, as amended, is what's on the floor. That the council submit a letter to the Gaming Commission expressing our concerns about the development of the Revere-only casino project, and that the town manager develop a letter to present to the council for review and take action at the next meeting. Therefore, the action would now be at the next meeting. The original motion was for this meeting. The motion has been made, and it was made by Councilor Powers. The amendment was by Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Sanford. Is there discussion on the motion? Councilor Powers.
That is not actually my exact amendment. My amendment was for the town council to direct the town manager to develop a letter to present to the council for our review and action. Those, I believe, was the exact wording of the amendment. It had nothing to do with letter to the Gaming Commission. It had nothing to do, if we're going to vote on my amended motion, my amendment, I believe, and I'll double check it if we need to, going back in minutes, was that the town council direct the town manager to develop a letter for the council's review and action at the next meeting.
Right, and action at the next meeting, that's what I said.
Right. That letter has not even, we have not even yet, as far as I know, directed the town manager to develop that letter.
That's right, so that motion now, tonight, is the same as it was last time, but for the next...
Correct, but the specific language of my motion...
Let me have the language again.
...was for the town council to direct the town manager to develop a letter for our review and action at the next meeting.
Town council to what? To instruct the town manager?
To direct the town manager to develop a letter for the council's review and action at the following meeting, or the next meeting, whichever terminology.
To direct the town manager to develop a letter.
Correct.
Go ahead.
For the council's review, for the council to review and take action on at their next meeting. That was my amendment.
Okay, and then I have from the minutes exactly what you said.
Mm-hmm.
The town manager develop a letter to present to the council for review and take action at the next meeting.
Yep.
And if approved at that meeting, be sent to the MGC.
That was not part of my amendment. It was absolutely not part of my amendment, Council President.
Then I guess we'll have to change the minutes. Then I guess what we have to do then is,
The minutes say it two different ways. The minutes are wrong.
The minutes are incorrect.
The
I
minutes-
know
the
what I
minutes
said.
are incorrect.
The minutes stated two different,
I did not catch that when
the
I.
minutes stated that specifically.
I did not catch that when I reviewed the minutes.
that's the original at the meeting, that one down here becomes on at the next meeting.
Well, yeah, here's my original.
Yeah.
Here's my original, right there.
Where is,
Right here. It says, motion by Councilor Powers to amend the original motion that the town manager develop a letter to present to the council for review and take action on at the next meeting. Seconded by Councilor Sanford. That was my amendment to the motion.
where is that?
Page 2 of the minutes.
Page 2 of the minutes.
Do you have a hard copy you can look at? There's a hard copy.
Yeah, that's what I read. And then on page 2, the second paragraph up from the bottom,
Yeah.
in the minutes, and if approved by the council at that meeting, the last phrase says, "be sent to the MGC."
Council President?
Yeah.
I do recall Council Powers because I did second the motion, and it was discussed that we were going to send to the town, or have the town manager develop a letter. I think it was going to be based on Councilor Mail's letter and brought back to the council for our review and recommendation.
Right.
I have not seen that letter.
No, because Councilor Del Vento, in his postponement, under 2.9, said that he wanted that letter not to be written yet. He wanted to postpone the whole motion, part of which was for the town manager to write a letter. So the whole motion was postponed
By Councilor
by Councilor
Del Vento.
So given that the whole motion was proposed, and we specifically asked him, do you include that you'd want the letter not written? Isn't that correct, Councilor
Yeah,
Del Vento?
yeah, because we haven't discussed if there's a letter, what's gonna be in it.
So we postponed the whole thing. On there, I would have to redo the tape. I thought, and Denise thought, that the tape read, be sent to the MGC.
I don't remember that part of the conversation, but, and because I did second it, and I paid strict attention.
Well,
It was-
I think that there is some assumption that if you're writing a letter, you're going to send it to somewhere.
Yeah, however, Council President, however,
Through the chair, please.
Council President,
Yeah.
however, not before it comes to the review of this council. I'm not gonna recommend a letter go to anyone with my name on it unless it comes before the council. So I beg to differ with your comment.
No.
Okay.
What I said
Okay,
is.
well,
what I
however-
said- No, don't get upset.
Through the chair, please.
No, well, I'm
Through the
sorry,
chair.
the comment you made was inappropriate.
Well, you
Hold
accepted.
on, Councilor.
Okay,
Councilor Sanford, are you
yeah,
finished?
I'm finished.
Councilor Mayo.
I took the comment not in the way it was meant. What I said was
The way you
that,
said.
what I supposed was said is that, yes, he writes it, we approve it, but the intention was to send it. So it's three
Not
parts.
prior to me reading it and reviewing it and putting my initials on it. Absolutely
I
positive.
didn't say that. I don't know why you feel that was the
No
case.
further discussion on the issue.
Thank you, Councilor.
It's a
Yeah.
disagreement on an interpretation of what was intended.
Absolutely.
The intent of the original motion and the wording of the original motion was that we submit a letter to the Gaming Commission. The amendment by Councilor Powers, the way I interpreted it off the DVD, was that if approved, the letter would be presented to us, and if approved, would be sent to the Gaming Commission. If that's not what was said, then we need to amend the minutes. We can, however, right now, amend the amendment to the amendment and make it clear what the amendment to the amendment was. And we would, if there's an issue, then I'll take the amendment to the amendment to take that last phrase off, if there's such a motion.
Council President.
Yes, Vice President.
Just in terms of clarity, can we take the motion back and restate the motion, just clearly, instead of the amendment to the amendment to the amendment?
Well, that's what we did. The motion by Councilor Powers made a new motion, in effect, by amending the old motion. And the way that I interpreted from the DVD was that because Councilor Powers wanted to have the town manager draw the letter. That was your intent, correct?
Correct.
That we would, the town manager would develop a letter to present to the council tonight for review, and if approved, be sent to the MGC. Not a letter that the town manager presented tonight and be sent to the MGC. It's very clear, and if approved by the council at that meeting. I think that was clear, that it be sent to the MGC. If the council feels that they want to amend that amendment and take be sent to the MGC off, I will accept that as an amendment to the amendment. And then, an amendment to the amended motion, I should say, not an amendment to the amendment. An amendment to the amended motion. My understanding is that the amended motion, main motion was amended to become an amended motion to be voted on, that the town manager develop a letter to present to the council for review and take action at the next meeting, which would have been tonight, and if approved, only if approved, by the council at that meeting, be sent to the MGC. That's the motion, I believe, that's before us. If there's a councilor who would like to make a motion that we delete that last phrase, I'll accept that motion, and that will change the motion as amended.
I'll make that motion because that was not my original amendment.
Due to a misunderstanding or whatever, Councilor Powers would like to delete the last phrase, so that the motion would now read, the town manager develop a letter to present to the council for review and take action at the next meeting. And if approved by the council at that meeting, what's next?
The action, the take action would be
Determined at the meeting.
So
That was
then-
my intent.
So then we would take the word "and" out as well. So,
Yes.
it would now read, the town manager develop a letter to present to the council for review and take action at the next meeting, if
And
approved
that's it.
by the council at that meeting.
And take action on at the next meeting, yes.
So we and take action on, if approved by the council at that meeting. So we're taking out the word "and."
Nothing to do with if approved. It's strictly
Take action.
to take action
Take everything
on.
after
What
the
the
comma
council
wrote.
decides to do with that letter at the next meeting.
So you want to take everything after next meeting, comma, out.
Correct.
Okay. So we have a motion by Councilor Powers to amend the motion that's on the table by deleting the last phrase, and if approved by the council at that meeting, be sent to the MGC. So, the new motion would read that the town manager develop a letter to present to the council for review and take action at the next meeting.
Yes.
Period.
Okay, that, if you read it that way, we just have to clean it up a little bit. I get the intent. But it looks like the town manager is supposed to take action at the next meeting. So I would say we would take out the other "and." So it would now say, the town manager develop a letter to present to the council for review to take action at the next meeting. It looks like the town manager would be taking the action at the next meeting.
Council President,
Yep.
I disagree with that interpretation.
Okay, so if it's your intention then, that the motion read, the town manager develop a letter to present to the council and take action at the next meeting.
No. The town manager develop a letter to present to the council for review and take action on at the next meeting. For the town council to review and take action
says-
on at the next meeting.
Okay,
How
it
does
says
that
to the
sound?
council
Is that better?
for review, for the town council to review and take action
on
at the next
meeting,
meeting.
yes.
I got that.
Got
That
that?
makes sense.
Does
Yep.
that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Because the other one was kind of vague, it kind of looked like the,
It was not,
okay, the motion.
yeah.
Do we have a second on Councilor? Second by Councilor Del Vento. Any discussion on the motion? Councilor?
Are we discussing this motion for an actual action to take place now, or just to change it?
We're discussing it to change it.
To change it only?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so The new motion will be, as amended,
If this amendment
if
passes.
this amendment passes, that the town manager develop a letter to present to the council for review and take action at the next meeting. I'm sorry. Friends of the council to review and take action at the next meeting.
At the next meeting, correct.
Just a
I
point.
think that we need to say that that the town council instruct the town manager to develop.
Fine.
Is that right?
You can use the word instruct, you can use the
On-
word direct, doesn't matter.
I think we need, all this says is that the town manager will. I think we need to, is that all right?
That's fine.
Well, just
Instruct or request?
Direct,
Okay, direct,
direct. I like the word direct.
okay.
point of information.
Hold on, let me read it. That the town council direct the town manager to develop a letter to present to the council to review and take action at the next meeting.
Correct.
Correct? Do we have a second on that, still by Councilor DeVento?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, motion by Councilor Powers, second by Councilor DeVento. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
what's that letter gonna say?
The motion is just to amend.
We
Writing a
have
letter,
it,
dear, we love you, or we hate you? I mean, I don't know what the letter's gonna say. We're not giving, we're
The
saying
vote
write
is
a
on,
letter?
the vote is on the amendment, not on,
The content.
on the content of
Content's
the
also part of the
original
original
motion.
motion. This is addition to the, to,
yeah, it doesn't say what the letter's supposed to be about either. Come to think of it. So, I guess we have,
it's gonna be expressing our concern.
It's an amendment to the original motion.
In the original,
But-
it's an addition to
the original motion says that he would submit a letter to the gaming commission. You don't want that in there.
You want it as an addition to the motion.
I want, right, as an addition to the original.
So then, the original motion said that the town council submit a letter to the gaming commission expressing our
You know what?
concerns.
I'm gonna make this very simple. I'm gonna withdraw my amendment.
Okay, do we have a withdrawal of the second from Councilor Sanford?
Council.
The
Yes,
the
yes.
amendment from last week
Yeah.
that was postponed to
That's
this
fine,
week?
yes, yep.
Okay, so the whole thing is back to Councilor Mayle's original motion.
Correct.
Okay, so we have withdrawn all of the amendment. The amendment that we were gonna amend the amendment is gone. We're back to the original motion now. And the original motion is that the town council submit a letter to the gaming commission expressing our concerns about the development of a Revere Casino only project.
Only casino.
Project. That has been made by Councilor Mayle, seconded by Councilor Powers. Is there discussion on the motion?
Peter,
Yes, sorry.
I move to table this motion indefinitely, and also with the caveat, it can't be brought forward till after Revere has its revote in the city of Revere.
I think in order to table it indefinitely and put that caveat on it, I think you have to make it as an amendment. I mean, this tabled indefinitely, tables it indefinitely, but I think to be tabled, it can be tabled forever.
I think you can
but
table it to a time certain.
You can. You can postpone it to a time certain.
Then I'll make the motion to table it till after the city of Revere has a second vote on the casino proposal.
So you would like to make a motion to table this motion, table Councilor Mayle's motion. Make sure I get this right this time. Table Councilor Mayle's motion until,
After the city of Revere has a vote on the new casino proposal. Otherwise, it might be moved.
And it might not be.
Councilor, so you're you're gonna table Councilor Mayle's motion until after the city of Revere has had their vote.
Yes.
on the casino proposal, or on the proposed casino.
The proposed casino.
You want to table that, or do you want to postpone it?
Table.
Okay, so when it's tabled, it has to be voted off the table?
Yes.
Okay.
Take from the table.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilor Boncory to table Councilor Mail's motion, the motion that's above us, until after the City of Revere has a vote on the proposed casino at Suffolk Downs. Do we have to recognize that they're a host community, or do you want to leave that out? Okay. So, on the table, on the floor right now is a motion by Councilor Boncory to table Councilor Mail's motion, table this motion, until after the City of Revere has had a vote on the proposed casino at Suffolk Downs. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Del Vento. Any discussion?
I would like a
Council,
roll call vote on this. There's no discussion of the motion on the table.
Oh, you're right.
Roll call.
Roll call. Can we have a roll call, please, Councilor?
Councilor Del Vento.
Yes.
Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Councilor Terry.
No.
Councilor Sanford.
Yes.
Councilor Calla.
Yes.
Councilor Mail.
No.
Councilor Boncory.
Yes.
Vice President Verone.
Yes.
Council President Gill.
No. There being 6 to 3, 6 in the positive, 3 in the negative. The motion carries. The motion has been tabled until after the City of Revere has a vote.
Good job.
What was it? I thought you didn't like that.
Thank you.
You like,
You just.
you like the procedure.
I'm better keep my mouth shut.
We have public comment at the end, too.
That's all right, I have time.
What difference does it make, public comment?
You know, we'll stay, we can stay for public comment.
Okay, we are then going to revert back to the committee reports. Under the Finance Committee, the meeting is still going on. If people need to leave, I would appreciate it if you leave quietly. Thank you. And again, thank you for your attendance and your input. Under the Finance Committee, the 2 transfers, stabilization fund transfers, have been referred to the new capital stabilization fund. The TSAC is still pending. The Finance Commission made an extensive and exhaustive study on the issue of the amount of money that has been, just grab my notes here. The water and sewer retained earnings, that we referred to them to determine if the amount that was in reserved earnings for the water sewer funds was appropriate. They did several discussions, they met several times on the matter, and briefly, they have concluded that the retained earnings in the water sewer enterprise funds are not excessive as a percentage of revenues when compared with other MWRA communities and other communities throughout the state. They found that throughout the state, the average is 25%, and Mr. Chairman, Mr. Wynn has agreed to come before the council next week to discuss this matter in more detail. So that takes care of...
Next week, next meeting.
Next meeting, thank you. And I just remind the councilors, I would like to have your choice of committee. If you want to change committees for next time around, there will be some vacancies, as you know, due to Councilor Powers' retirement. If you have any that you do not want to be on, or any that you do want to switch to, please let me know within the next week. I intend to draw those committees up and then run them all by you. Given that I don't hear anything, I'll assume that, if I don't hear anything from you, I'll assume you want to stay where you are, or if you have some strong concern about, yes, I definitely want to stay where I am, that kind of thing. Give me as much input as you can. Hearing none, I will just continue on with the committees the way they are. We had, from the town manager, we had a couple of requests for transfers. Tim, should we postpone those because he's not here, or should we discuss them? Do you feel comfortable
for the new business?
discussing?
Under new business?
Yes.
The
transfer of 20,000 from the free cash.
Yeah, I know that that's to do a traffic study as it relates to the proposed casino.
Okay, so probably what would be a good thing to do is just refer them all to finance. Okay, so on the first motion by the town manager was that he moved that the town council authorize the town manager to engage the professional services of a traffic engineering firm to study the potential traffic impacts of a proposed casino at Suffolk Downs on the town of Winthrop. And to fund this study, we move that the council authorize a transfer from free cash of $20,000 to the contract services item of the town manager's budget. I'll take any action relative thereto. His proposal there is to have a professional traffic study done in respect to Suffolk Downs. Do I have a motion to refer to finance? Motion by Councilor Boncory, seconded by Councilor Powers to refer the motion to the finance committee. Wow. Motion by James McKenna, I move that the council authorize the town manager to engage the services of a qualified firm to study strategies for economic development within the town, encourage the growth of tourism, encourage cultural opportunities, to examine the strategies for the creation of...
Motion to refer to finance.
Motion.
We have
I
the
thought
reading.
you liked the motions all read. You don't,
I do.
you don't want to waive the reading. Motion by Councilor Boncory, seconded by Councilor Sanford. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Move that the town council transfer $9,900 from council reserve to the finance department for the purpose of funding indirect cost allocation for the town enterprise funds, or take any action relative thereto. Councilor Boncory?
Motion to refer it to the finance committee.
Second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Powers. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Councilor Mayo?
No, I don't want anything done, I don't. want
Councilor Mayo?
anything. Yes, my motion.
Yeah.
Let me read it, sorry. I make a motion to make the newly paved parking lots adjacent to Pond Street Park, the Larson Rink, the Crest Ave Rink, and it was also supposed to be the Dalrymple School. And the Dalrymple School lot and extension make them paid-for parking facilities. The motion instructs the town manager to create a new parking sticker enabling parking in the lot from 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. daily. The automobile must exit the parking lot for snow removal in a reasonable manner. Violators to snow conditions will be subjected to ticketing and towing. Each parking sticker will enable the registered automobile to have a single reserved spot in the lot. The charge will be an annual rate of $375. The rate is effective from January to December and will be prorated. Motorcycles must also be registered for the lot. The space will be leased to the automobile provided all state and local taxes are paid in full. A valid paid automobile excise tax is required but does not have to be issued by the town of Winthrop. All money from this parking program will be used to fund a Parks and Recreation Department sponsored program to establish a Khan Academy or other early learning programming. Parental funding would be required for a portion of the programming in line with other Parks and Rec guidelines. The fund may also be used to fund MassCAS, SAT, character, wilderness, or parenting programming as deemed valuable by the superintendent of schools.
Motion by Councilor Mayo. Do I have a second?
Second for discussion.
Second by Councilor Lettieri for discussion.
Motion to recommend to Economic Development Committee.
Motion by Councilor Del Vento to refer to...
Economic Development.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Councilor Sanford.
Thanks.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
Ed, wait a minute, I think, would you amend that motion also send it to traffic advisory,
TSAC?
TSAC?
Yeah, well, they can send it, I mean, they'll have the authority to bring TSAC into a meeting.
Is there a motion to refer it jointly, or is it directly to?
I'd like to take this motion off. I'll wait until after the first of the year.
So you want to withdraw the motion?
Yeah, I'll withdraw it.
You want to
for now.
withdraw
I'll
the
bring it
second,
back.
Councilor
I'll
Lettieri?
bring it back to the next
I'll
meeting.
withdraw the second.
Okay, the motion and the second have been withdrawn. Councilor Mayo,
Yes.
you got another motion?
Oysters?
Yeah, we'll move that to the first of the year. So.
Okay. Atlantis. I had two appointments, they're not on the agenda. What I would like to do is put an interim facilities manager onto the School Building Assistance Committee in an interim position. The School Building Assistance Committee calls to have the facilities manager on that committee. We presently have an interim facilities manager. I would like to make him an interim member of the School Building Assistance Committee. Do I have approval from the council? All those? Motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Second by Council Powers. Discussion?
Discussion. Are you adding another member?
No,
to that
he's
committee? Are you
replacing-
taking a replacement?
Replacing Jerry Boyd.
Okay, because I know at that meeting too, I think it was, we had a meeting last night, and I think it was asked that the council president look into, there's been a lot of absenteeism from participants, and now that it's going into another phase, if you might want to reach out to those participants to see if they're still active in the committee or not, and to potentially reduce the number, because we're still required to have a quorum based on the 22.
That's a separate issue, or if somebody
separate
would
issue,
refer
yeah.
that to me, I will definitely do it for the January meeting. Do I have approval for this appointment? All those in favor? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Bob Driscoll had forwarded his letter today. This is to confirm our conversation regarding my request to be appointed as the alternate representative to Logan Airport Community Advisory Committee, more commonly known as CAC. Each community can have 2 members on CAT. My colleague Jerry Falbo is our primary representative, and I am the alternative. The other communities usually have 1 member attending the meetings. In our case, both Jerry and I attend. Could I have a motion to affirm the appointment? Motion by Councilor Sanford, seconded by Councilor Powers. Any discussion on the motion? If not, I'll-
Yeah, I have a discussion.
Oh, go ahead.
The guy's a great guy, and that committee is probably the most important committee we have in town. And I know that, I've spoken of it before, but if anybody's out there that wants to get involved in a really solid committee and has time, that's a committee that could probably use a couple of younger members that can devote the same amount of time to it that the gentlemen that have been on that committee have done. They've done an incredible job for, must be 30, 40 years by now, so.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Just a quick update on the Atlantis Marina. There's been a lot of activity down there. We've heard a lot of stuff going on. And just yesterday, the DEP came in and had a public hearing. There was some tremendous input to the public hearing. There's some urgency to this. The DEP needs comments from the public as to what their decision is going to be. Without getting into detail, I would suggest that people watch the tape. It's on. It's already on WCAT. Watch the loop. It's running. And I would ask just to give you the person's name and the email, and then you're all going to forget if you don't write it down, or if you do write it down and it doesn't come out right, you can give me a call. I'll call the town manager's office. It's all capital letters. Andrea.Langhauser, Langhauser, at state.ma.us. So it's Andrea, Andrea.Langhauser. There's lots of issues that were discussed. They were discussed very, very well. The reception of DEP and Andrea and her boss who was with her, I thought their reception was tremendous. There's been a lot of misunderstanding on what happened there and what needs to happen to either change what happened or to at least determine if it was appropriate. I've invited some of the people from Atlantis to come here and I guess technically speak under public comment. But I think that we need to recognize that something has happened there. There's been a process or procedure, or lack of process or procedure. And I think that I would like to have the feeling from the council as to how we deal with this. It seems to be a planning board issue, it seems to be a ZBA issue, it seems to be a public safety issue, a public health issue, so there's all sorts of issues there. And I just wanted to throw it out to the council for a brief discussion, because I know it's getting late, as to what's the council's feeling? Should we direct the town manager to determine where this goes first? These folks are frustrated, they don't know where to go. They've been before the Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission did a tremendous job, but their powers are limited. So these people want to know where to go. And if there's no objection, I will move to public comment, and then if we need to, we can slip back for some direction from the council. Is there public comment? I'm moving to public comment now. Yes, ma'am, could you identify name and precinct?
Anita Rossi, I'm at the...
Pardon me?
Anita Rossi.
Anita Rossi,
I'm
thank
at
you.
the marina. And I'm startled by that. What would the public health issue be?
People were concerned yesterday that there was illegal pump outs.
I'm not aware of anything, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, yesterday they claimed that they felt that there may be not satisfactory monitoring of pump outs of the boats.
So obviously that would be that they did not have correct information.
There was a concern that there might be, and so if there might be, then public health should probably
Right,
look
But what
at
I'm
it.
saying is like some of us are, for me, I'm totally contained. There's no way there could be anything getting out or whatever. So, I mean, there must be some really miscommunication. And
Well,
I think that's what I hear you saying.
No, what I'm saying is that there should be some monitoring, some system of monitoring pump outs. If your boat is not illegally pumping out, then you have no concern.
No, I
But-
don't, no.
But there should be, in a marina, where boats are parked, are moored, or give me the right word. Docked.
Docked. Mooring, you could be moored. You could be in a mooring.
There should be some assurance that nobody is illegally pumping out. There is a plan in place, I understand, that there's a pump out system, a company comes from out of town
Yeah.
theoretically and pumps out the boats. Now,
I guess only when the harbor master or the town of Winthrop can't do it, because up until November 1st, I think, the town came and did it.
Right, and there was-
then I don't have to do that because I can go to, into the city to do what I need to.
Pardon me?
I don't need the pump out to come to me because I can move my boat into the city whenever I want to do it. But my point is, right, for the rest of them, right, if there's, however they do have it done, I guess my point is that it doesn't go into the water by any means.
well, I think that what the people who expressed concern was that they want to make sure that it doesn't. I don't think anybody's saying now that it does,
Yeah.
but they wanted to make sure that there is a system in place to make sure that it doesn't get
So,
pumped.
yeah, and because I hadn't heard about it at all, so my point until today, my point was, so there's obviously some miscommunication. Thank you very much.
Just a
Yes.
point of information
Ma'am?
to bring up the point. There were three reports of discharge, and the DEP environmental police were called earlier in the season because there was a claim of discharge in your area. And while it may not have been from you or from anybody docked there, there was in fact a claim. So that's
Correct.
probably
I
where that
understand.
came.
And that's what I hear you saying.
And what my intention here tonight is that the council really doesn't have control over this issue, so we're just trying to direct it to where it should be. At least that's my hope that I can get from the council, their feeling of where it should be. But it wasn't a pick on you type of thing, but it was, as Councilor Mail said, there was support.
It's just if I'm at that marina, I'd like to be aware if there's some talk or something going on, and I wasn't.
Okay.
And I heard it today, so that's why I came tonight, because
Okay, great. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name's John Dolitz. I live at the marina. And to allay any fears about illegal pump outs or anything, we do have a system in place where, as the town of Winthrop hauls their boat out at the end of October and no longer pumps out any of the boats because their season is over.
Right.
Which I'm working with the head of the CVA on trying to rectify this because...
Sorry, what's the CVA?
Clean Vessel Act.
Okay.
And this is the system that the state gives back 80% of what you put into if you buy pump-out boats. If you make the facility for pump-out facility at your marina, you get reimbursed, so it's not an all out of pocket. So it's a win-win. The person that puts the money up gets money back, it's not all pull out of his pocket. And in the same respect, the water is taken care of in a resourceful way. It is pumped out at the facility, put into your sewage treatment, and gone. That would be the done deal. In the interim,
Can you review that? It's pumped out and put into the town sewer
Well,
system?
what it would do, the pump out facility would then be connected into the city sewage system, which it's all, somehow that's the way it's done.
The same way.
Same thing as the public land.
It's the same as the public land.
Okay, so you folks are, to separate out, there's an Atlantis Marina.
Correct.
And there's an Atlantis condominium.
Correct.
You folks are at the marina, not at the
Correct.
condominium. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so all that we're trying to figure out is, how is that monitored, and, you know, is there a system to monitor it, I guess? And if so, who do we, as a town, who's responsible to make sure it's monitored? That's all.
Oh,
That's what we're aiming at.
Right, and when I put the system jointly with the other boat owners there, I contacted the harbor master's office to let him know that we were working on the system on a Friday, and Monday we had it in place and had the boats all pumped out. And I have it all documented, the name of the boats, everything, which, you know, I'm going to give to the harbor master to have a chain of custody, because this is going to be done on a need basis. We will call, we are now a client of the Wind River Environmental.
Okay.
We're boaters. I'm a charter boat captain for the Virgin Islands, 30 years. I am a steward of the water. So I do not want any misconceptions, you know, for a place that we just moved into.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Is there any, I just wanted to now clarify that we have two entities here. We have a marina entity and we have a condominium entity, and they're totally separate.
Yes.
But not totally separate.
Right.
So what we're trying to, what I'm trying to determine is who's doing what.
Right.
And at this point, it seems like you're doing a wonderful job, nobody knows it, and nobody's controlling it, you know, that kind of thing. David?
I'm David Kelston, I live at the condominium. I'm an attorney. They're not separate. It's all part of the same development. It was permitted at the same time, pursuant to a special permit, and now two variances. The marina is common area of the condominium, subject to a 99-year lease. We're all neighbors, we all live together, we're all part of the same legal entity. That's very important. The issues raised yesterday went well beyond pump out. They had to do with handicap access, they had to do with safety. It's not these folks, it's the developer who's irresponsible, who's in violation of the variances he's got, in violation of parking variances. He's constructed a marina which is not safe in the winter. A number of voters got up and spoke about that. He's done work without permits, and there's all sorts of violations now of zoning, which town council was brought to the attention of the town manager. Again, it's not these folks, it's the marina developer who's been irresponsible for years. And the town simply has to make him adhere to the law.
Right, and that's what we're aiming. He now has issued a cease and desist on one zoning issue, and we need to address the other zoning issues. And I just needed to hear from you folks tonight as to what you just stated, and then we need to determine as a council, what do we do with this?
And it needs to go, I believe, to the Board of Appeals, who issue the variances, and we need to make sure this developer lives within the law.
Right.
Protects these folks and protects us and acts properly.
Thank you.
And that has to go back to the board.
My name is Deborah Green. I also live in condos.
Lisa Green,
Atlantis Marina. Actually own 2 condos at the Atlantis Marina. This is not about the people in the boats, but I'd like to try to shed some light on your question, Mr. Council President, and hopefully I can be helpful, because we're at a critical moment now. The DEP I believe, has violated its own regulations and run roughshod over the town of Winthrop. Now, I just listened to a discussion about the town of Winthrop and Revere, and whether we should act and say something, or what's better for negotiations, if you say I'm against it, if you say I'm for it. Let me just preface my comments by saying we're in a similar kind of a situation here, but the town has the right to act in a way that nobody else has the right to act, because this town governs this town. We're talking about something in this town. So let me tell you about the regulations and the next steps, because I hope the town council will take some action tonight on this that will be helpful. Again, you know, the developer of the marina, the owner of this 99-year lease is Gary DeChico of Nahan. And I want to say that before proceeding with my comments, I appreciate all the hearings the Conservation Commission had. I believe there were 3, and I appreciate your taking comments tonight. It's very late, you've already been through a lot. I'm sorry to get you through this, but we are facing a deadline with DEP of December 24th for the town to take action.
December 27th.
So, well, it's unclear. It has not been clarified in writing. They said the 27th yesterday, but what's in writing is the 24th. I'm not a lawyer. I think a judge when you take the last date, but I don't know what the department will do, because so far the department has not acted according to their own regulations.
Okay, so I
Let
think...
me just review the regulations for you. First of all, in an emergency situation, there has to be an immediate danger. DEP declared an emergency situation because some boats in Charlestown were facing eviction because their docks had grown unsafe over a number of years. They declared the solution to that problem to be at the Atlantis Marina. There is no precedent anywhere that we can find in the history of the country for such an action, declaring an emergency in one jurisdiction and declaring to override all of the laws of another jurisdiction to solve it. There was no specific statement in the application. There are a number of things in my statement that I'll hand to you that pertain to the department's requirements of procedure. But the most important thing is that the department itself, in its emergency certificate, and according to its regulations, said all of the local and federal and state regulations, licensing rules, zoning rules, and other pertinent bylaw matters must be solved prior to the beginning of any of the work. The word prior was underlined in the commitment letter, and in the certification itself declaring this supposed emergency for Winthrop, it said the developer cannot begin the work before obtaining all of the permits. The work the developer has done and the use that he's brought here, I'm sorry, I like all these people. I'm just talking about the law. Both of those things were done in violation of Winthrop zoning. He also constructed on a Sunday, which is not allowed in Winthrop. He did all the work on a Saturday and Sunday, which is suspect in my book. Okay. Where do we stand after all of this? Where we stand is that this jurisdiction, the town of Winthrop, it says in regulations, has the right to say this work is not consistent with zoning. If the work is not consistent with zoning, it cannot proceed, it cannot expand, and DEP has to order conditions, mitigation, removal of something, whatever. But it puts us in a bargaining position. If the town of Winthrop does not have its proper zoning, oh, and by the way, in the meeting yesterday, your town council hired to review this matter, Mr. Goldrosen, submitted a letter to the DEP saying that in his opinion, for the town manager, he thinks on 3 counts, the parking, the extension of the facility, houseboats, and which are not boats or small boats as allowed under Winthrop zoning for marinas, and the commercial activity of the B&Bs, all of those things are illegal under current Winthrop zoning. Okay, he solved this matter. It violates zoning on a number of counts.
Okay, can I just...
But in order for us to have any
just 1 second,
capability...
1 second, please. Could I ask you, in your written piece that you gave, could you forward that to us?
Oh, I'm going to give it to you right now.
And then we're going to...
But let me finish my sentence.
All right, there's a 5-minute time limit. Go,
I'm sorry.
take
I didn't know
another.
that. The rule is, and I will hand it to you, that the town needs to submit a statement that the work is not consistent with zoning, and the use that was brought here, which the applicant said was the same use and is not the same use, is not consistent with zoning. The way the town has to do that by the 24th is to submit a letter from the appropriate zoning authority. I'm not sure whether that's your town manager, and also co-signed by the head of the zoning board of appeals. To be safe, I would say it's that. And signed by the town clerk by the date.
Is that outlined on there?
Yes,
Okay.
I would request that the council direct the town manager, because he submitted the letter yesterday, but it's not in conformance with this very specific requirements. Okay, we need you to do that, because then we can have a discussion. But if you don't do it, there's no one else who has the standing. You have all the power in this situation.
Okay, could I have a copy of that, and we'll get it.
What happens if we do it, and what happens if we don't do it?
If you don't do it, no one can complain that any laws were broken, and there's no discussion. And the
And if we do
developer
do
who
it-
is used to doing anything he wants to do, whether it's legal or not,
So can I ask you a question?
if you do it, DEP will listen to you,
Okay.
they will
Okay.
talk to you.
But will they do a cease and desist order and throw all these people out to this?
No, they're
No.
not throw the
Yeah.
people out, and nobody wants the people thrown out. The question is whether there's a 30-year license, which is what they're going to grant if you don't say something, without anybody having any say. Because of this emergency, very unusual thing, which waived all the process.
Yeah,
If you don't say anything, there's a 30-year license issued to have as many houseboats and as many B&Bs with no requirements.
Yeah, and I think the whole issue that was discussed yesterday was the process was not followed, and the process was not followed because it was an emergency. And the discussion came up to whose emergency was it? Was it the city of Boston's emergency? And therefore it was put on to Winthrop as an emergency. And if it was an emergency, is it appropriate to have it permanent? If it was an emergency, should it have not been temporary? The issue here is that the Gaming Commission, how bad am I? The DEP needs to have any public comment by the 27th, they said yesterday. This is something new to me, Deborah, and I will run it by the town manager tomorrow and get the appropriate authorities, if it's the wish of the council to do so, to follow this up.
It needs to be done before the next council.
Okay.
So,
Guys, I realize that.
so
Council.
what would happen, first of all, let me speak to the boat owners here. You people got,
Can I just say, some of us...
Hold on one second, one
Emergency.
at a time, please. Councilor Mayo.
the fact that you arrived here, created an issue for the town of Winthrop, whether you believe so or not. There was available space at those docks and piers prior to you coming here, and some of you could have been easily afforded your space. No one in the town, you'll have to allow me to finish, I'm sorry. Okay, the fact remains that there was space available at that marina. Whether or not it would have fit your particular needs was not our emergency. You were involved in a protracted situation for many years. Nothing came about you overnight. This was in the public media for an extended period of time. The fact remains that we, the citizens of Winthrop, woke up one morning and found out that we had something we had no idea was happening. That put us into a situation. I am not particularly opposed to developing houseboats or any of the items that you people may or may not inhabit. I am opposed to the fact that I didn't get a chance, nor did anybody in the council or the zoning board or the planning board or the appeals board get a chance to review this. One morning, we drove by and there was a pile driver. The next morning we drove by, there were piles. 2 weeks later, we drove by and there were boats that were skewed around because the work was not done in a fashion consistent with good building practices. Or we had the worst storm ever. And since we didn't have the worst storm ever, I had to think that there was a problem. So this has put us in an issue. And unfortunately, you have become that issue. I have nothing against you. I have no problem with it. I just think that we haven't had that. So I will direct to the council president, do we have to make a motion for this? What happens so that we don't lose our rights for the next 30 years?
Councilor Powers.
I would make a motion, since we've already involved the town legal counsel in this matter, that we refer this to town legal counsel to expedite, to ensure that we meet the required dates of what needs to be done.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Can we second a motion? Are we in that?
Sure.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
then I'll second your motion if you don't mind.
Councilor Powers, could you dictate your motion? 'Cause I don't want to go wrong in the minutes.
That we.
You're taking a wrong tack.
That the council?
That the council refer this matter, and you have the paperwork from the woman, to town's legal counsel to take,
And town manager.
and the town manager, to take expeditious,
Oh, come on, it's hard word to spell.
EXPED,
Come on, finish that.
expedition,
Spell
ITOUS. I can spell.
Okay, I wasn't questioning it.
Expeditious action on, to ensure we meet the requirements of the DEP
Notification.
To assure that-
Outlined in the notification.
outlined in the notification.
Municipal comment period.
To ensure that we meet
Does
the
that work?
requirements.
The deadline.
Is that what you were looking for, correct?
We want you to get this thing sent in.
That's why I used the term expedition. EXPED.
To meet the requirements of the DEP deadline?
Yes.
Municipal comment deadline. And I'd like to welcome you new people to Winthrop.
Thank you.
I hope you.
Come on now.
Thank you.
And I'm
Yes.
just saying, not all of us came from Charlestown, and the way you were saying it, it was like I chose to come here from Boston proper. You came from East Boston,
There's a
not
motion on the
everybody.
table.
No, that's
Council
good.
President?
Yeah.
There is a motion on the table.
I know, yeah, there's a motion, let me just, there's no discussion right at this point, that the council refer this matter to the town legal counsel, with an S, and the town manager, for expeditious action to assure that we meet the requirements of the DEP comment deadline,
That's correct.
okay? And there's a second by Councilor Mayo, any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you for your input, folks, and for enlightening us to what's going on at the Atlantis Marina and the Atlantis condominiums.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Hold on one second, we're still,
So I may bring the council out.
John just had a question. I'm sorry, he was
One
up.
final point, excuse me.
Speak up.
Oh, I'm sorry, just one final public comment, if I might. One other point that was brought up at yesterday's meeting, that I commented on, that I would direct the...
Don't leave, you're next, ma'am. He was up first.
It's okay. No, it has nothing to do with that. It was the fact that you and I had talked, and I was gonna say, thank you all. Come out on full moon next spring. I would love to take you out.
You're taking us out on a...
Remember, you and I had talked.
Yeah.
Yes, you can
Okay,
tell them.
thank you.
An off-site council meeting, I can
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Just one other issue, Mr. President, that I would ask the council to address itself to, is the issue of the vulnerability of the new Belle Isle Bridge to the new apparently questionable legal major expansion of the marina project itself. And this was backed up in yesterday's hearing by people who are knowledgeable about these things, as well as myself.
The DEP got that on yesterday.
Right, but again, if something gets loose from this new expanded site, with, year-round, occupation or presence on the site by large investors, during a windstorm, something could break loose of a large size and crash up against our new bridge. The question, and that's something that the town I think has a real stake in. I've played a role in that myself.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you.
I had a motion from Council Valtori.
Second by Council
And second by Council Sanford. Any discussion on the motion to adjourn? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Again, folks, welcome to Winthrop.
Sorry you had to wait until 7:30. Thank you.